Abundance. Abundance.
Abundance.
This live is for educational awareness purposes.
Period.
Every day we should be striving to be more aware and manifest the way out of this system.
Period.
Everything. We're going to wait for people to come in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what we're going to talk about. Abundance, everybody coming in. Abundance.
Abundance, y'all.
Tap and share the live. Tap and share the live. We need all our brothers and mothers of life to be seeing this. That's on our phones. If we're on our phones, what are we speaking to each other about?
Mm-hmm.
Because we really shouldn't be on our phones, really. We should be really connecting out there in the real world. That's how we change things. That's how we shift energy.
Facts.
That's how we have harmonic convergence with each other.
Facts.
So if we're not on here on the internet talking about our women, children, and man that's going missing, then what are we talking about? If we're not talking about how there's an inorganic species living amongst us, then what are we talking about?
Facts.
If we're not talking about we're actually generating energy for a system that was built off our genocide, then what are we talking about? See what I'm saying? So we got to tap into those type of, you know what I'm saying, perceptions of so-called reality that's going on right now.
Facts.
Not these false perceptions that we see on the internet. That's not reality, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what someone wants you to see. But when you look outside, that's what the universe and the sun wants you to see. Because light is how we see. This is a light, vibrational universe, vibrational reality that we're seeing. Mm-hmm. That is being projected by the back of our brain. You know what I'm saying? And being regulated by the ridicule formation in our brain. So tap and share the live.
Facts. We need to get back into what's really real. It's been a lot of people talking about stuff that don't matter. It's like it died off. Ugh, F1.
F1. It's like an unalive dog.
Right.
That's what she meant to say. But she back on it.
It's back up again. Like, we back talking about racism again. We back talking about, like, who's African and who's American. Like, y'all, we got to really lock in on what's really real. These are titles created by who? We're working for our own demise. Like, people say, oh, Earth is a prison planet. Like, Earth is not a prison planet. You built your own prison on a free planet. The jobs, that's you're fueling their system.
Exactly.
So what is a black owned business? Like, do we understand, like, we're working for $1 with their face on it while our children are going missing, while our women are getting snatched at high rates, and everybody's just like, oh, I just got to get this money. How could that be it? That's not even us on the money. That's not even our system. We subscribing to this. It's not even real.
And why the people who are making this money and printing this money, why are they so fascinated with your children more than the money themselves?
Literally. They studying you while you working with your head down. And everybody the system is messed up. You are working and fueling this. All we literally have to do is walk away from this system.
Facts.
Somebody is like, oh, how do we pay bills? How could you be worried about that? These apartments this is systematic. We was living off the land. Like, you know what I'm saying? We was living off the land.
Exactly.
We was living with the land. And there are brothers and sisters still do that. They just don't show you it.
Exactly. The planet Earth is not ran by paper money with eukaryotic faces on it. It's actually ran by electrical currents. And the reason why we're actually brown like this is because our electrical current is low. We're at the state of being really dense, and this is the lowest our anatomy can take.
Literally.
We need to be upping the electrical current in our bodies and stimulating that so we can be more creative for our species, so we can get out of this, so we can manifest the way out.
So tap and share the live, y'all. We haven't been live in a minute. So the views are kind of low. We trying to get back into the algorithm and stuff like that. So welcome in, y'all. Abundance. You know what I'm saying? So somebody asked in the chat, they said, how could this be allowed on TikTok, comparing people to monkeys? It's not a comparison. It's actually just genetics.
Facts.
You see what I'm saying? Nothing in here that we say is mysticism. We're sitting right next to our books. Okay, we do real research, and if anybody want to request up, we can run the science. It's not a problem. We have the sources on the phone today. Remember all the lies we said we needed to compile everything, so it was right there, and now we got it. So we have 231 photos of sources ready to share whenever y'all are ready to request up.
Exactly.
It's been a year and a half. We haven't been debunked when it comes to the science. We've talked to doctors, kidney doctors, all types of doctors, all types of cell biologists, all types of niggas claiming to be different types of whatever. We got sources and we haven't been debunked. So bring your science, because none of this is mysticism. Okay. First of all, y'all have incomplete dominant genomics. Y'all have incomplete dominant DNA. You stem from a completely different embryological origin than me. So you have two cellular types, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Those two cellular form types do not originate from the same place. So if there are two known cellular types, and me and you phenotypically present the same, and we have a different genetic composition, we are not the same species.
Yep. And that woman right there with that monkey, they phenotypically look the same. And your phenotype is determined by your biological and genetic state. That's what creates your phenotype. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's explaining. This is pure biology. Y'all type. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's explaining. This is pure biology. Y'all share DNA with chimpanzees. Animals cannot naturally come together to make you. You don't see a pig procreating with a cat to make a human. So you were unnaturally made. You got here through spontaneous generation.
Facts.
That's how you got here.
Facts. So with the two cellular types, prokaryotic and eukaryotic, prokaryotic is what black people are. We are unicellular functioning organisms. And it does not mean that we are one big blob or one big cell. What it means is that all of our genetic material stems from one unicellular, one place.
Yep.
Comes from one embryological origin.
Exactly.
Cell potency, totipotent stem cell, aka the black woman has the most potent cell types known to man.
Yep.
This is where all life stems from, called biogenesis. These other people, the eukaryotic cell is here through spontaneous generation. So we have to understand these niggas are spontaneously here. And so when the scientists, when they literally stumble across this information, this is why a lot of them step down. They are rigorously, every day trying to figure out how the hell they got here. And so that's the reason why they have to do the experiments. But even in these experiments with the children being snatched, because a lot of people like to say, oh, well, all children are being snatched, no matter if they're black and white. Right. But there's an experiment going on. One has to be the host. You have to understand. There's two different cellular types. So there's two different functions in these experiments that are taking place. Why do you think we're going missing at a higher rate? Why is it baby girls and women that look exactly like me going missing at a higher rate? Why are our men going missing at a high globally? But we got tunnels being busted. We got all these weird buildings where the property is kept up, grass is being cut, but the light's always low, and it's only 2 cars parked outside. These places are getting busted. Yet our children are going missing. So of course they're going to show you, oh, it's such and such child that's going missing. Of course they're going to show you, but they're not going to ever give you the real. But if you know how to connect dots, that's why I say we come into TikTok discussing history and still don't know what's going on.
For real. And history is just him explaining how he gave you venereal diseases.
Literally.
Antigens. This is why, like right now, so-called black people, the main food that we be eating is cow, chicken, and pig. And that's the main things these people are spliced with. And that's what's stopping and slowing down the electrical current in our melanin, in our neuromelanin. That's what's slowing us down. And they can only slow us down. They can't stop us. But we got to realize that we're affecting the next generation if we don't wake up.
Facts.
If we don't wake up, then we're not putting effort for the next generation. We're not putting effort for the species. But we want to be saved. But we're not saving the children right in front of us.
Facts.
So the sun is removing the virus. That's what this live is about.
Absolutely.
The sun is removing the virus. So so-called black people, what should we be doing?
And when we say that the sun is removing the virus, the science behind that is UVC radiation has been ground level since 2015. See, everybody is raving about 2020, but 2020 is late. That's late. 2015 is when the so-called shift began to take place. We're operating below our frequency that we didn't realize it until 2020. We had to get Rashad Jamal, a man who touched a child, to actually get us to lock in about hardly nothing, because most of what he said was a lie, and he still tried to give the eukaryotic cell hope. How does a species that did not naturally evolve with the planet somehow get to make it on a planet that they're non-conducive to? Where would they be going to? What do you return to if you didn't come from the earth? If they're, and they say, oh, he came from planet Nern. Okay, tell me in the cosmos right now, plan it out to me. Go ahead and tell me in light years or whatever calculation that you can where Nern is located. Because last time I checked, the cosmos was tropical. The cosmos is warm. It's not cold. Come on, there's several suns up there, and there's several suns there's a sun at the core of Earth. That's what the core is. It's the second sun.
I saw somebody say, oh, the sun is not moving fast enough. And that looked like a brother to me. So that means you don't understand your genetics, understanding that you are the sun in the flesh. We're supposed to be helping the planet and the sun move in higher frequency and get these people out of here. We got to be speaking that UV dreadful. You see what I'm saying? We got to be out there telling them they're not natural to this planet. We got to make them uncomfortable, just like the sun makes them uncomfortable, because that's what it's doing. It's removing the neutron out of their atoms and making their cells vibrate different. And that's disrupting cell signaling and protein synthesis.
Thank you.
Within their genetics.
Yep, deletion
syndromes. So now all the animals that are inside of that cell communicating cannot communicate anymore because the nucleus is getting removed out of the cell.
Facts. So this is science, y'all. This is not mysticism. When y'all go live about racism, that's mysticism. Imagine a nigga oppressing you and still actively oppressing you to this day, and you're inviting him into your space. That's called trauma bonding. Are we going to let white people wear box braids? If you understood her genetics, it wouldn't be a question now, would it?
Exactly.
If you understand her genetics, it wouldn't even be a question. Of course she's going to do that. Nothing new under the sun. We forgot about Sarah Bartman and how they mocked her. First they laughed, then they copy. Nothing new. So why are we still surprised by these people? They keep doing the same thing because of what's coded within their genetics. It's not about nothing else. You are who you are because of your biology.
Exactly.
The last 10 to 15 generations are thinking and moving and acting and doing everything, influencing everything that you do right now. The last 10 to 15 generations.
Yep. They only created race for genetic survival. That's the way they created it. They created that so they can find a way to still take your organs and your genetic material to be on the planet. Because if you understood that you are not the same species as these people, you will view them completely different.
Facts. You have to understand that there's a reason why There's a reason why they created this system, and it's literally to harness you for it's to harness the earth's resources and its people.
Exactly.
So it's bigger than just, oh, this is just a system. No, everything here is precious. They have to dumb it down to you so you think it's just a rock. You think it's just a tree. You think you just can't take the sun.
You think
No,
that's air
you can. Let me tell you something. We're out in the sun 5+ hours a day. Or it can be. Some days are, you know what I'm saying? We can stay out there longer. And we're not uncomfortable. Not to say we don't sweat, because we do. That's natural. But we're not uncomfortable under the sun because we eat according to our genetics. We eat alkaline and very strict. So we don't do corn, black beans, and bread. We don't do vegan cheese with chemicals.
Yep.
We've already studied and unpacked molecular gastronomy, so we know the little sneaky chemicals that they put in foods, right? Molecular gastronomy literally means stomach astronomy. Gastronomy means stomach astronomy. Not to mention that your brain and your gut is connected to each other by the vagus nerve. It is your lower brain. They already refer to your brain as the cosmos because the amount of neurons that you have are the amount of so-called stars in the galaxy or in the universe. It depends which scientist you're listening to. You see what I'm saying? So the thing is, I hear fireworks popping off right now. Hopefully those aren't any people that look like me. Because even celebrating these holidays, even though we say, oh, it's just a way for us to come together, we're celebrating oppression, y'all.
Yep.
We're eating poison and celebrating oppression and then wondering why our situation isn't changing as a community. Stop giving energy to the eukaryotic cell.
Yep. Every time we come together for a holiday, brothers and mothers of life, every time we come together, we're just celebrating the trauma that these people did upon us.
Literally.
That's what they did.
That's it. So when you go to work celebrating oppression, at the end of the week, you happy to get a check to celebrate failure. Like, come on, man. We not even really seeing, like, you're the currency. You're the current. You're the light. They said that you're on at 9 a.m., off at 5, like a light switch. You're the battery. Like, come on. If you don't work, they don't have a system. It's that simple. We scared. Everybody is saying that they 90 through this, divine this, but they not standing on it. So the children are watching and they're confused as hell. Like, what the, like, okay, we so-called gods and then niggas is working for these. Hell, I guess we just.
But we worried about bills.
How, man?
We worried about paying bills.
Facts.
How can we worried about paying bills, reparations, all it? Our children is the currency. We are the currency.
Facts. So the thing is, we're discussing science. This is not about feelings. I see it's a white lady in the comments crying. Come up here and request up and let's discuss biology.
Yeah, let's have a civil discussion.
Let's talk about prokaryotic versus eukaryotic organisms. Let's talk about UVC radiation and how it's a germ unaliving, gene mutating,
and a
detoxifying wavelength that all your scientists are talking about right now. Even your people, I have never seen YT people talk this much about the sun. You're talking about a generation that came up on the internet with the internet. Babies know how to work tablets before they even won. I have never seen y'all. I have never heard y'all. I'm in my 20s. So about 2 decades, okay? Just over 2 decades. I have never heard y'all complain this much about the sun. And guess what? It's not even hot. We low 90s here in Texas. And y'all are complaining left and right about the sun. And we haven't even hit August. Your scientists are talking about, these heat waves. Why is your news station warning you about heat waves when summer just started?
Yep.
Why are y'all I seen all of y'all are red, uncomfortable, tired. Deletion 1p36 syndrome is amping up within your species. SLOS phenotype is amping up in your species. All of these different deletion syndromes. The
Yep.
sun is doing it, and on the top scientists in the world are saying this.
Yep.
The chronobiologists are saying this because they're in charge of studying patterns in organisms and living organisms. They are quite seeing all organisms, especially the ones that you're spliced with, especially the ones that you share DNA with. Those animals, all of y'all. It's not just y'all, ma'am. It's not just YT people. It started with your Asians. They're first in the genus, the so-called Dravidians, and it's just now hitting y'all. Look across the globe. Weather anomalies amping up globally, affecting whom? Affecting whom we may concern. This is going to be the best time for Black people if we are aligned with our DNA. If you are eating according to your genetics, which should be the sun, spring water, mainly fruits, and alkaline veggies. That's what puts your body in its optimal state to be able to actually take in what the sun through your integumentary, what it's giving off, its interstellar gases and its nanodiamonds.
Facts.
So there was a time, we can go Jura, Triassic, Carboniferous era, Cretaceous. Okay, we're talking about prehistoric timing. Okay, why did the scientists name this era Carboniferous when they're saying that it was when it was more oxygen on the planet? Why didn't they say the oxygenated era? They named an entire era, an entire time period, Carboniferous. And this, like I said, UVC radiation has been ground level since 2015. It's 2025. 10 years. White people just now feeling it, but guess who felt it first? Guess who started going sterile first? The so-called Asians. Then it started hitting the Dravidian. They talking about they doing a program to help people defecate. They don't even know. How could you be from the planet? How could you be here through biogenesis when you don't even know how to everything you do is fucking the planet off. But we shouldn't even be breathing in their microbiome. Have you seen what happens to you on a cellular level just by you being around these people? No. That's why you think it's okay to work for them. Have your children around them. That's why you think it's okay to be in the same space as them. Because you don't know the difference in your biology. You don't know the difference in your the genetic differences. They want it to be about skin color. What is the skin composed of? Because we can look at so-called Dravidians, right? And there are some that are so-called darker than me. But clearly, when we look at the integumentary system, aka the skin, we can see that there's a different genetic composition. We can look at color, right? Color isn't just it. There's textures, there's biochemical substances there that make it different. Yeah. That is called a genetic difference.
And how do the molecules in each skin type move? How do they move, especially under UV light?
Thank you.
You see what I'm saying? Because according to cymatics, the organism that can obtain the most light into their being is the most intelligent being. And as so-called Black people, we undergo black body radiation where we absorb the whole light spectrum of Facts. The sun. Mm-hmm. And we absorb every color that we see and we don't see, every sound that we hear and don't hear, we absorb it right now. So it's not about a superior thing. It's not about none of that. It's not about some racism. It's just about genetics. And this is what it is.
So Cabby, this is why we're talking about the difference in genetics and I'm not being funny, y'all have a hard time grasping things because this is why we're talking about the difference in genetics and I'm not being funny, y'all have a hard time grasping things because every single thing in your body stems from a different embryological origin. Your body does not work in harmony or in unison with itself because it's spliced. Your body literally undergoes a process. There's a part of your anatomy called spliceosomes. Because CRISPR-Cas9 is your DNA. That's how we got your DNA sequence here. You go undergo a different protein, completely different protein synthesis. We don't even synthesize proteins the same. You have I believe it's called the conjugate sequence and the SD sequencing. So it's hard for you to actually process a lot of information, which is why the system that y'all built quite literally dumbs us down. When we begin to raise our consciousness, y'all become very illiterate to us. And I'm just being frank with you. So again, this is not about lighter skin, ma'am. And I know I said this. I said this has nothing to do with skin color. Didn't I just say that? She said light skin. What the fuck is that? We're talking about genetics here. So I see that there's a few people in the comments. Sorry, my bad, y'all. A few people in the request. I see that y'all are in the request, but this is about science. So if you're going to come up, let's talk about, genetics. You know what I'm saying? Let's not mysticize it. Let's not bring emotions in here. Let's go fact for fact. All right. Let's be strategic. We're very detailed people. Children listen to the lives because the lives are posted on YouTube, and we push hard for children. 9-year-olds listen to this. Yep. You see what I'm saying? Their mothers allow them to because their mothers want them to hear about their DNA and their genetics. You see what I'm saying?
And
so the children,
they
right?
Understand who they is.
Yep.
They understand. Oh, this is they can differentiate when they go out. This is a eukaryotic life and this is prokaryotic.
Absolutely.
Life. They even go around and tell their teachers, "I'm a prokaryotic cell." Mm-hmm. They don't even they stand on who they is. So what's stopping you?
Yeah.
What's stopping you?
Right. So again, the thing is, every time when we bring up children, we see as a collective how we really don't care about children. And the children hear that. You got Starseed 16 in school. In between classes, they listening to the live. They hear how y'all don't care about them. We go live and say, remember the children. You see how it's 133 people in here right now? Because we walking the genetics down. Let us go live about children. It'll be 12 people in here. 15 people. But we see y'all stopping by and leaving. Y'all care for children. Y'all don't care about children. Because the system has literally made you numb to currency, which is you. You think you need money. But you got each other. She has a skill. He has a skill. She has a skill. He has a skill. What do we need money for when we literally are the ones performing the action? You're asking for money in exchange for your energy, putting a price. It's a white man on a fake piece of paper and we chasing it. Exactly. And telling our children, oh, you must go to school, aka indoctrination, school meaning skole, which means to hold back. Like, come on, man.
And we sending 25 million children to their schools every rising.
And there 25 million children get indoctrinated.
Of our
every
children.
Single day.
25 million of our children go get taught by animals every day about how to better be slaves.
So we got to understand it. We got to understand, like, the women, them white teachers in there are mocking us, sisters. We taught them everything that they know. The black woman is the creator of fire. She literally discovered fire on her own.
Yep.
Literally was the first person to make pottery, to build megalithic structures on her own. And using literally. And we taught them everything that they know. And all they did was pervert it. So look at them trying to cosplay you.
Exactly.
Thinking that they can do you better than them, and they don't even have the same genetics. Why are we allowing them to teach our children? You see what I'm saying? Then you have this white man that's in charge of if you look at a lot of these jobs, it's like a plantation. You got this white person in charge of all these black people, so-called. Because they want to feel superior over you, knowing full and well that your genetics is what's more so-called superior than them.
And at the end of the week, they want you weekend so
exactly.
You can come back and generate more electrical current for them.
Exactly. So you're weak during the week because you are weakening. You are working for them. You are getting weak, and then your week comes to an end. So now you're weakened. But you think you got freedom on the weekend. Come on, like, this is so... We got to see this shit, man. Quite literally. It's time for niggas to wake up. You don't have to be scared over a job, y'all. It's a job. Tap into your brain. You operate that body 100% of the time, but you know less than 1% about it. All you know about is your reproductive organs. And barely that.
And a lot of our brothers and mothers of life, we know that we built the pyramids. So
Facts.
why are we so scared about bills when we can go outside and build together?
Facts.
When we come together, we can build bigger megalithic structures together. But we over here talking about, oh, I'm scared to pay the bills, so I'm not gonna stand on who I am, on who I'm supposed to be.
Literally.
Like that's not cool, bro.
Somebody said, how is this
slowing the species
somebody
down.
said, how is this somebody left a comment on the video, said, how is this helping us pay bills? How the fuck do you want to stay indoctrinated? Why are you moving in fear? You mean to tell me you can't sit down and align your thoughts and manifest your reality? Now, here's what I'm saying. I understand that we're in this physical reality, right? We're in this, everything manifests spiritually before physically, right? So guess what you have to do? You have to shift your energy spiritually first, so that way that you can see it. It's about paving a way out. So even if you work right now, you should be, the end goal should not be to work forever.
Yep.
You should be paving a way out. Instead of trying to fuel their electric system, knowing full fucking well that it's just artificial electricity, and you're the generator. It's just an artificial form of you. That's why I keep telling people artificial intelligence been around. If we know that broccoli, carrots, kale, potatoes, what is it called? Turnips. What's the other one? This radish. If we know that all of that is created in a lab and is not real, it's not found in the wild, that is artificial intelligence. And this stuff was made how long ago? Some of it centuries.
Yep.
So
genetic splicing has been taking place for over 200,000 years.
Yep, somebody said arugula. Absolutely. So you gotta, we're so focused on history, which is his story, quite literally, we missing out on the science. They're messing with you scientifically and then documenting his story about it. His history is just the historical documentation of how he fucked you up scientifically. I hope we know that. I hope we understand that. I hope we understand that we're fueling our own oppression. So somebody in the comments, it's a troll in the comments talking about you have victim mentality. No, I'm quite literally, if you actually listen to my message across all platforms, I'm very much so holding my people accountable. This is for critical thinkers. This is not for people that even think like that. I hold myself accountable because I know that I could be going harder. Every single day, I find a way to be creative. I find a way to get out. Yep. So instead of paying the electric bills, we rely on the sun, literally solar lights throughout the entire house.
Exactly.
We know how to harness from the land. We're resulting back to the land. We know how to identify things in nature. We know what's for us, what evolved with the planet and what didn't. From here to Nebraska. Fuck you mean? Like we study. And we don't use Google.
And every sunrise, you got to be paving a way out. Like she said, you got to be manifesting a way out. If you know that you're in a loop, you got to get into neurogenesis.
Facts.
Neuroplasticity.
We grow.
You see what I'm saying?
We have
Show
fruits,
your brain new habits.
vegetables.
Show your brain the alkaline habits that it's supposed to. And watch how it affects the body.
Absolutely.
Your brain controls your physical reality. So I don't know why people say, oh, neuromelanin is just in the brain. My skin is just an extension of my brain.
Absolutely.
Everything came from my brain, the neural crest. If you look at embryology, everything comes from the neural crest and the neural tube, which becomes the brain and the spinal cord. Absolutely. The spinal nerves and the cranial nerves. And the 12 cranial nerves is the 12 disciples of Jesus. Yep. And the 12 zodiac signs and the 12 years of us going to school. It's all of that.
12 years a slave. It's 12 years of school and they talking about 12 years a slave.
But once you study the 12 cranial nerves, they are all connected to your entire body through axon tracts and dendrites.
Dendrites. Yep. The dendrites, the neurons. This is what your neurons are composed of dendrites, which are on the outside. The axon is the more of the inner region of the neuron. The dendrite is on the outside and it connects with other dendrites. This is what forms new habits. So when they say it takes 21 days to form a new habit, quite literally, that is the dendrite on your neurons connecting like tree branches coming together. Consciousness connecting with another piece of consciousness to literally form your reality. We don't mysticize shit.
And the only way your physical body can move is only if your neurons innervate them.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
This is science.
Control them.
We're just trying to tell our people that
are being controlled by your nervous system.
Yeah, that's it.
So that's what we say. We're neuromelanin.
Yeah, it's not a job. It's not like, oh, like people are like, oh, this is my calling. This shit is new. Bro, do you understand that your DNA is 13.6 billion years old?
We've been through this so many times.
How could you being that, how could that be your calling?
We got beings eons old.
You were called before that. Like
exactly.
you're the calling. What do we mean? So we not studying science, and that's the problem. Because I remember coming up and they were telling the youth like, "Oh, know your history, baby." Nope. That's his story. And genetics quite literally is her story, because everybody that evolved from her is her. Everybody that didn't is not. So the little posts that be going around the internet for the past, I say about 10 years now, talking about the black woman creates all races and no, I need y'all to pick up some science, genetics, biology, something.
They do not come from us.
They do not come from us. And
that's
why we
animal DNA, protein, or enzymes. We don't have none of that inside of us.
So this is what I be telling my cousins. They gym heads, right? So they want to still eat meat, cheese, and dairy and processed food and stuff. I said, you going in the gym after you just ate that and you're structuring animal fats and proteins. Animal blood, pus and blood. Cheese has 150 trillion pus and blood cells. Cheese is made from the rennet, which comes from the baby cow's stomach, is how they make cheddar cheese. Molecular gastronomy is what created number 3 cheese. How do we have numbers to cheese? What is red 40? These are synthetic chemicals, and they're poisonous. And they're synthetic chemicals to mimic what is actually real.
In nature.
Already
thriving in nature.
But they don't give you that. You wouldn't even know about it. They give you the synthetic version of it, which is a poisonous potion. So this is where their practical alchemy comes from. The whole ideology behind mad scientists, right? Of them going mad in the lab trying to figure out ways to screw you over.
Yep, make you more acidic. And now a lot of our people has acidosis. That's where it's coming from, all of these different chemicals.
Yes.
So the only chemical we should be taking in is the ones that's coming from the sun.
Literally.
The neuromelanin that's coming from the sun.
The fruits and veggies that are here through biogenesis. So I'm going to give you an example. Grapefruit is here through spontaneous generation. So none of us should be eating grapefruit, because the parent fruit to a grapefruit is the pomelo. The pomelo is a natural occurring fruit. It is here through biogenesis, and it is not here through orbital hybridization like the grapefruit is. So just because something has benefits, just because something is good for who, when we don't have the same anatomy?
Yep. And they're spliced with all these different animals with different appetite. A monkey eats differently than a fruit fly.
Oh my gosh.
A pig eats differently than a cat. This is why they're able to eat anything, and their stomach can have their osmolality level in their stomach, which is determined how hot to get. The concentration is high, and their pH levels is very high in there. So it's acid. It's pure acid. I mean low. So it's pure acid. So this is what we're saying. They can break down raw meat and all of that, so that we have 2 different gastrointestinal tracts.
Right, and this is the reason why when we eat raw meat, we get sick, because we are meant to be on an alkaline diet. Our body is meant to be in an alkaline state. So a lot of people like that Dr. Sabulus is compromised a little bit, but it's fine if you're doing your own research. You should not believe anything anybody tell you, including us. And we don't want you to.
Facts.
What I want you to do is pick up a book.
Facts.
And when you learn something new, teach it to a child.
Yep.
And keep passing light and teach them to pass light. That's what I want y'all to do. The rest of it doesn't matter. You need to learn it on your own. Okay? We got to get to the point to where we stop looking for the next person to say the next thing so we can copy.
Regurgitate.
We need to actually be locking in with ourselves, quite literally.
And understanding the information.
Because we literally need authenticity. We need what you have. Whatever is inside of you, we need that. See, you're saying, oh, we got to pay rent. We just need you to step up to the plate. Rent don't matter. If more of us stepped up to the plate and actually harness who we are, you wouldn't be worried about their system. You wouldn't need it. Why would I need to go to the Mexicans to get the car fixed when it's a brother across the street that can fix it? Why do we even need cars when we can live off of this land right here? Why do we even need to worry about YT people when the sun is removing them? So people keep coming near to us and what virus? What virus? What virus? All the viruses. YT people, mosquitoes, celery. Like, come on, I'm talking about every eukaryotic cell that is here. Dravidians.
Yep, everything that came here through orbital hybridization, you're getting removed. You would
wombats,
not make
penguins.
This next energy cycle. You would not make it.
Penguins have seal DNA. Like, they're spliced. Like, come on, man. We got to understand that there are animals and plants here that are spliced. A penguin and every time you see a penguin, they just put them there. I said, what do penguins do for the planet? Nothing. Nothing. Any organism that does not do something for the planet, if there's no mutualism between prokaryotic organisms, like multiple prokaryotic organisms, I don't even care if it's microorganisms. As long as there's mutual, then that makes sense. Penguins don't do shit. And they're always in a habitat by themselves. And when you study them in their habitat, they can't even take it.
I was just going to say that.
They can't even take it. They be crying, undergoing stress, unaliving a lot because their suit is not built for the environment that they have them in. Quite literally, they're being experimented on. There's certain fish not supposed to be in the ocean. So you got to understand, this is not just about YT people. This is not just about Dravidians. This is not just about Asians, so-called. This is about every eukaryotic cell. This is about fake bugs that's not supposed to be here.
Yep.
This is about everything that is spliced, every animal.
And y'all got to think about it. There's been splicing going on this planet for over 200,000 years. These people are new here. They had to start with insects and microorganisms before they got to even monkeys and all of that.
Introgression and hybridization is not pseudoscience. So whoever is saying it's pseudoscience, that's not pseudoscience. And as a matter of fact, I can actually, I'm trying to see. Yeah, that's not pseudoscience. Introgression is when you take genetic material from one species and you fertilize that information with another species. And through repeated backcrossing, this is what builds a DNA sequence. So introgression is done through hybridization. And there are multiple types of hybridization like racemization, transfection, orbital hybridization. So there's like, I believe 8, 9 different types of hybridization. That's not pseudoscience. When you see artificially flavored snack or artificially, that's quite literally, that's molecular gastronomy. You need introgression for that.
Yep.
You need introgression to make broccoli. So if you understand science, it's not pseudoscience because your medical field is built off of pseudoscience. You forgot that in science, you have to test a hypothesis. It's pseudo before you test it and find out that it's true, correct? Okay, so all science is built off of pseudoscience. Thank you. These people just be talking in the comments, man. We want y'all to request up, though. I did see it was a lot of people in the requests. We was talking a lot. My bad. We was trying to get it out. We ain't been live in a minute. Feel free to request up, but make sure you have science, all right? If it's not science, we're going to respectfully get it out. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, children are listening, and I'm tired of the children being lied to, and they are too. They tell us that. You know what I'm saying? They tell us that they're in high school listening to it with their friends. Like, damn, these people not natural. And we know that they're not. We just had an experience, was it yesterday or the day before, where we quite literally seen the way that a so-called a neuromelanated person, a so-called black person, and a so-called white person or a pheomelanated person, and the difference between how the two biochemical substances interact with each other. Black people do not operate like white people. Asian people do not operate. And see, even when it comes to y'all species, it's incomplete dominant. So y'all are not the same amongst each other.
Yep.
Because of different embryological origins.
Yep. Asians within the Asians community, y'all not even the same within each other.
Right.
Same thing with white people, Arabs, y'all not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all have different percentages of different animals within all of y'all. So when y'all procreate, this is why y'all need the medical system. It's for y'all.
The Rehus's, the RH factor. So this is the reason why a lot of them get blood tests before they have children.
Yep.
Because that incomplete dominant DNA is what will cause a lot of these chromosomal disorders.
Yep.
So I get a lot of questions like in the comments and in the DMs about, should we eat according to our blood type? No. Because look up blood type and let me see. I'm trying to figure out how do I turn on. Okay, I figured it out. Hold on. I'm finna put a source up in just a second. Let's see. Like this is actually the breakdown on. Can y'all see that? Incomplete dominance. So this is the reason why when you see a so-called blonde mother and a brunette father, they'll produce a blonde child because of this right here.
Yep. Or ginger, like, you know what I'm
saying? Or
saying?
ginger, yeah. That whole ginger thing, no. We got to understand genetics. And you're going to start hearing more about it because the discussion with racism is a discussion about genetics indirectly.
Yep.
But they want to make you focus on the skin color instead of the actual genetic composition of the skin. So we have to start understanding the difference between incomplete dominance and codominance. And let me see, when we're talking about introgression, this is what it looks like. This is what introgression is. This is it. It's pretty close up. But there's a needle on the far right. All right. And there's a cell on the left. This is them penetrating a cell. This process right here is called introgression. The only way you can splice into a cell is with UV light. And so this is what it would look like when you're actually performing the experiment itself.
Yep. And that's them putting a human cells into a pig cell.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to show you the science who did it.
A pig human when the human already has pig DNA. They're just more experiments.
So this right here, this is introgression. This is what they do every day. The top genetics, the top geneticists in the world are doing this every single day. And they're creating humans. And the Asian scientist that did that, the Asian doctor that did that only got 3 years of prison or jail. I don't even think it was prison.
Yep.
And they let him out. And I'm going to show you exactly who they are. Give me a second because it's not mysticism and it's not pseudoscience. So they're doing this every single day. Right here, this is Jennifer Dowda. Hold on, let me get it more centered for y'all. Forgot TikTok is different. The one that's actually that did that pig DNA, this is him right here. This is him. He took a pig's DNA and introgressed it with a human's DNA. And they did an entire documentary about it. The top geneticist in the world is Jennifer Doudna. And this is her.
And she's the founder of CRISPR-Cas9.
Which doesn't even make sense because by the time she discovered it in 2012, it was already a thing. That's what I'm saying. Genetic engineering has been around
for over 200,000 years. But they keep saying somebody new found it. But in the times of the so-called Greeks, they said somebody else found it. And then they just keep going. They just keep giving themselves credit for genetically splicing into organisms.
So this is the top geneticists in the world. This is there's two founders. They're both YT women of what is called CRISPR-Cas9. And CRISPR-Cas9 is gene editing. And this is how when they are explaining it, this is the tool that they use to explain it. I'm going to show you how they actually introgress the genes. Like we showed you the experiment, but this is what it looks like in diagram form. So this right here, that piece that she's holding is a different set of DNA that's attaching itself to this other cell. So this is not pseudoscience. This is being done every single day. And it's been done since the 600s. And I know I used to go live and I used to say the 900s. Nope, science has just confirmed just the other day, the 600s. Here's the scientist right here that created that baby. The baby's face is blurred out. He only got 3 years. So it's not pseudoscience.
He did it without the woman's permission.
Yep. And he used 3 different organisms' DNA to do it. So that's a 3-person baby. It's not fit to the screen, but this is actually a news article. And you can see right there where it's talking about CRISPR. And it says in recent years, scientists have discovered a relatively easy way to edit genes, the strands of DNA that govern the body. The tool called CRISPR-Cas9. So Cas9 is the protein that cuts.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? CRISPR is the portion of the gene editing tool where it deals with the bacteria. Cas9 is the protein that cuts. So basically, just to put it in layman's terms, it would be like pig DNA, right? You would insert the bacteria. It would be snipped with Cas9 to insert celery DNA. Certain parts of it to actually build an organism. So this has been going on since the 600s. This is the reason why we have broccoli, potatoes, carrots, cows, chickens.
Yep.
And the list goes on until we get to them. So this is what I wanted to show next, because while we're on the topic of how we got to them, this is why we talk of it's zoomed in so bad. I hate when TikTok does that. At the top, it says pedigree of man. And what it is, this right here is the tree or pedigree. When you look at the etymology of genealogy, this is why I be telling my people to drop that shit. Because the etymology of genealogy is the pedigree. And pedigree is basically the genealogy or the study of an animal. So we have to stop subscribing to stuff and understand where it's coming from, because you don't have any animal DNA. The more you go back in your family tree, it will go back to the black woman because of mitochondria DNA, because of the Eve gene, because of cell potency, because of totipotent and stem cells, and embryological origin. Whatever your mother is, that's what you are, because this is how genetics work.
And when have you ever seen a tree that produces oranges and apples at once? How is it that a gorilla, man, and chimpanzee are all in one tree?
Facts.
That makes no sense. We don't see that in nature. So how can family trees be different organisms?
There we go, y'all. I forgot. TikTok zooms it in really, really. No, the top geneticists in the world go by this every single day. We got it from them. So this is the pedigree of so-called man. And they try to say towards the bottom here, when they're talking about the protozoa, but which protozoa?
And the thing is, the bacteria that they even use for CRISPR is comes from streptococcus, which is
Yep.
which is a prokaryotic bacteria. So they stole how the prokaryotic bacteria functions and made a synthetic bacteria so they can use it for CRISPR-Cas9. That's why they say they came from us, because they use our information to make the synthetic version of them. But you didn't come from us, because we're not you. We don't have that genetic makeup. The so-called black woman, she has a whole set of genes of so-called black people that hasn't been anthropologically found on the planet.
Literally.
So there's no bones, there's no eyes, there's no nothing to show that these species exist except that it's in her DNA. So these species are alive and well, and are before the planet. So that means the so-called black woman is before the planet. So all her children are before the planet. So we're a ubiquitous species.
Yep. Amorphous species.
We don't have animal DNA. We have solar DNA.
Fact. Somebody said, where is the bonobo? This is going by genus as well. So it's under some of these genus names. The bonobo is just one part of the species, so you're not gonna see the actual animal on here. That's what we're talking about with splicing. They have abnormal amounts of pheomelanin. So it's not that pheomelanin is unnatural, right? Because lions are prokaryotic and they have pheomelanin, right? So there are several different animals on the planet that naturally evolved here, right? But they have normal amounts of pheomelanin for as an organism. But these people have abnormal amounts of pheomelanin and eumelanin. Exactly. Eumelanin turns into pheomelanin. So when people say that so-called black people are eumelanated, no, they're not. You cannot go by color. When it says that dark pigment, that is referring to the Dravidian. Neuromelanin, we know that there's 5 types of melanin. So you got, like I said, pheomelanin, eumelanin, neuromelanin, allomelanin, and pyomelanin. So when we say, oh, non-melanated people, no, they have melanin. White people have melanin. They have abnormal amounts of pheomelanin.
Exactly. And vultures have eumelanin. But all the cells to make up that vulture all comes from the same embryological origin, which is the mother vulture. It doesn't come from another bird or nothing like that. And the pheomelanin from that lion all comes from that lion. The lion doesn't share DNA with rhinos or nothing like that. It only shares DNA with its own genetic family.
Facts. It has a single set of chromosomes.
Yep. That's what it means to be prokaryotic life, or to come through biogenesis. And when you study these organisms, they have magnite receptors within their cells to connect them to the magnetic field of the earth. So they naturally know how to move and navigate with the earth or around the earth, because they don't need a phone. They don't need none of that. They don't need GPS. They're connected to the magnetic grid. But when you look at the eukaryotic organisms, they need to build technology to find out how to navigate throughout the planet. When you see dogs and cats, they need to be in homes because they don't know how to navigate outside in nature. They wouldn't make it out there. You see what I'm saying? They're not natural. So whatever can exist out in nature, that's what is prokaryotic. Not what can exist in homes or in buildings with UV light that keeps the pineal gland understimulated and inadequate to generate power for the body.
So my bad, y'all. I had got a little bit past myself when we were talking about blood types. So what determines blood types are antigens, and this is the reason why I say we don't need to be eating according to the blood type, because type A, type B, type O, all these different types are coming or just explaining the type of antigen, which is a substance or a foreign substance that should not be in the blood. So that is what makes it type A, type B, or type O. It's describing something that is poisonous there. So black people rave about having type O blood, but so do pigs and zooborn chimps. So this is why we're talking about hybridization. We're talking about introgression here. Because even though that there's nothing that can penetrate our cells, right? Because neuromelanin is condensed sunlight. It's the only biochemical substance that can condense sunlight. Our cells are coated in that.
Yep.
So So because our cells are coated in light, and because the only way you can splice into a cell, remember that those pictures we just put up, you remember that green light, that laser, that bioluminescent, that laser type shit that we seen? How can you splice into a cell that is coated in light when you need light to splice? You can't. So this is why antigens exist, because they attach themselves to the outside of the cell. This is why I talk about cellular oppression. We are oppressed even on a cellular level. That's why we have to know who we are. You're operating when we say all this spiritual stuff like, oh, we operating way below our frequency. No, we explain it with science as well. Because science is explaining spirituality.
Yep. And when they try to cut into our cells with light, as soon as our cells open up, it actually absorbs the light and traps it in like a black hole because of all of the free electrons that we have. Light and traps it in like a black hole because of all of the free electrons that we have are built up of. We have a lot of electricity within our cells that passes through ionic channels. So these antigens are just white little substances, white little particles that sit around outside of the cell to weaken the cell. You see what I'm saying? So every time we're sleeping with these people, every time we're eating the meats, that's adding antigens into our blood and weakening our lymphatic system, our glymphatic system, our endocrine system. All of our systems start to become affected. And what gets most affected is our blood, because this substance now passes through the blood-brain barrier and now causes red blood cell hemolysis. You know what I'm saying? Where our
Yeah.
red blood cells start to deteriorate more than we're reproducing, which then thins out our blood. You see what I'm
Yes. So
saying?
we shouldn't be, to make a long story short, you should not be procreating with these people, because you are adding antigens into the bloodstream. Aboriginal, you just came up. We've been wanting to talk to you
Yeah, come
because
back
we
up.
because we know that y'all don't really understand blood. So
Right.
request back up, because you the one that was saying that the so-called Africans ain't us. But every time when we bring science to y'all, y'all never want to handle the heat. So
Yeah.
I would like for you to request back up if you can. Because we've been wanting to talk to y'all 4 months ever since y'all cussed us out without science.
Everybody who's trying to divide our brothers and mothers of life throughout the entire planet, come up here and let's have a civil discussion. Because we are all one big prokaryotic species, and there's an inorganic species on the planet, and we're not focused on that. So let's talk.
Go ahead. Welcome in. Abundance.
It's the word kings and queens and goddess and gods, but science on what?
What did you request up for?
Um, y'all just asked me a question, didn't you?
You just was in the request.
You
Right.
requested
And
that.
then you got down and we said request back up. What's up?
Yeah, man, you said that. That's what I'm saying. Your statements you just said, you said something about that. I had a problem with y'all or something, some
Bro, what
topic.
okay. Thank you.
So you requested up for the first time for what? What did you want to speak
Yeah,
on, my brother?
we're giving you the floor. We're doing one by one now. So what were you requesting up originally for?
Understood. So far as the science of, you said Africa. We come from Africa, right? That's what you.
No,
That's
I
the
That's not what
never
conversation.
said
we
that.
never said that. Never came out of our mouth.
No.
Yo,
We
she dead just said that. Like you saying we don't come from
No,
Africa.
I didn't. I
I
said
never
that
stated we
there's
don't come
a
from. I don't come from
okay.
Africa.
I literally said that y'all were the ones saying that the Africans weren't us. I never said we were from any place, because I know that we're indigenous to the entire planet because of our genetics and our biology. And you're on mute. Go ahead. You're on mute. Right. I didn't say that about
no,
Africa.
they just making up their
We
own
can hear
narratives.
you.
I never said nothing. Like I'm saying, I just thought that y'all just stated that. I said that I'm not. I come from Africa. I don't. I never stated that I come from Africa at no point in time.
Y'all play semantics so
Before I
much.
left, you just
Y'all
stated that.
run. What
I
did
don't
you
feel that
request
before
up for,
whatsoever.
brother?
But
We're
I'm saying,
just giving you the floor. Did you want to say something? We see that your name is
all right. So
Aboriginal American. Do you understand, brother, that you are indigenous to the entire planet, not just so-called America? and that they named this land America, and that titles didn't come from us?
Yeah. If we want to go talk about the etymology of America, where that come from and things of that nature, we don't gotta speak about that. We really Temerian, but or we don't gotta speak about it. But yes, I know what I really am, though. But I understand
What
what
are
y'all talking
you?
about. Y'all speaking about some science shit right now.
What are
What
you?
are
You
you?
said, what am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see my name, right? I'm Aboriginal.
Abhor means to hate.
So
Original means origin. So to hate the original, and then you say you're an American. The whole language, all of these languages come from them because it
That
is a dumbed
etymology
down
comes from.
version to connect them to the planet. The only thing that the planet understands is frequency. So before
right.
Temerian, American, Lemurian, Sumerian, it was just telepathy, quantum entanglement. And that's what it still is today. That's why you know when someone's going to reach out before they reach out. That's why you can feel the vibe. That's why you say the vibe was off, because vibe is short for vibration.
Yeah, this is not an
Right.
American universe. This is a
Right.
vibrational
Thank
universe.
you.
This is a light wave universe. It runs by light waves. Atoms
Right.
operating in different speeds. This is what our reality is.
So we
So when our children
understand.
are asking what are we, we're not gonna tell them that we're the people who hate the originals. You see what I'm saying? We got to
Facts.
Now,
understand
yeah.
that these
Are
languages
y'all
are
coming
meant
from
to.
a
Go
continental
ahead.
drift
Brother, he's
type of?
speaking.
We
Hold
Go
was
on,
ahead.
the
brother.
first.
He was speaking and you cut him off.
I,
Now go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. You had something. You
are
obviously
y'all
had something to
speaking from
say.
a continental drift? Like, do y'all know who was like the first people that came? Was it the Americans? Was it the Europeans or the Africans or from the seven continents? Like which from
What
the
we're
before the
saying
continental drift, but it was called Pangea, right? Which
when
which
you're
which which
when you're
species
saying
came first?
continental drift, which
Y'all scientific
continental drift?
mindset.
Like we got Jura, Triassic, we got Carboniferous, Cretaceous. Which
I'm talking
continental
about
drift?
when Pangea, yeah, and I'm talking about the modern time right now. Like, in the modern time that we in today's time right now, of we in America, is Africa is all the way over there, Europe is over there, and South America that this continental drift. Like before that though, I'm talking about before the first one, before any of those happened, right?
Right.
What
So
was
Jura, Triassic,
what
Carboniferous, Cretaceous. Which one? I'm
right?
asking you.
What was we called before the first one? Like before any of that, when Pangea was spoken about, what was we called?
We didn't
We
speak. We
didn't
didn't speak
speak.
vernacular language.
Yeah, because this language doesn't create audible friction.
Yes, none
With
of these
this is
languages.
actually disruptive to the prefrontal
Low.
lobe, to the brain.
Low, right?
And now when you actually when like she just said it doesn't create audible friction. So that means your
Yeah.
pineal gland is understimulated and it's not getting the electrical current to actually produce the reality that you want due to the photoreceptors that you have in your pineal gland and your eyes. So
So
we
y'all
the
speaking
part of the
science
part of
language.
your brain that you think is for language is actually for sound and frequency.
All
And
right,
that
all right,
sound
all
and
right. So,
frequency tunes your body into a feeling
right.
and emotion and energetic motion because your body is 75% water. So
Definitely.
you have to
So that means that
go
we come
ahead,
from
man.
the Atlantic Ocean, right?
Go ahead, man.
So that means that
Go
we come
ahead,
from
man.
the Atlantic Ocean, right?
Go ahead, man. I don't know if you're not gonna let me say all the
Excuse me,
things
I'm
that I
sorry
need to say. I don't know how you're
about that, King. Yo,
responding.
pardon me,
But go
King.
ahead.
Oh
Pardon me,
my
King. Sorry about
gosh.
that. Yo, King, sorry about that. You can finish what you were saying. So, finish what you were saying, King. I didn't mean to. Yo, King, sorry about that. You can finish what you were saying. So, finish what you were saying, King. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. That's all I was saying. Is that you
But
trying
I'm
to
saying
find out
we
what
are part
title
of it.
was we? You trying to the thing is you trying to find out what title was we, but we don't. Our species never brand ourselves. We are everywhere at once. We are the microscopic to the
Yes.
macroscopic. And when you study electrons and protons, that's many so-called black women and black men and how they
But
move.
there's different species out here, right?
Absolutely.
Which is they originate in different areas, right?
They stem from different embryological origins. Yes.
Yes.
All right, and like African or Asian
Oh my
individual
gosh.
can claim their area,
Brother,
right?
the
Scientifically, right?
no.
Each individual today in today's time, they can claim their area from their origins, right?
No, that is not. You're mixing two completely different things. You're saying black,
How?
white, Asian. Those are titles. That is race theory. That is racial theory. That
It
is
was an
superficial. Hold
ideology.
on for a second, okay? Give me 1 second, all right? So those are titles. That's racial theory. We're talking about speciation. Speciation is where we discuss embryological origin. That has nothing to do with Asian, Mexican, black. That is not nothing.
Yep.
That's not nothing. So we're talking about genetics, anatomy, biology, right?
And when we study the melanin that these people are composed of, the combination of abnormal amounts of these types of melanin shows that they've only been on the planet for 6,000 to 8,000 years. So they're not natural to the planet. The Asians, that's not, they were not in Asia first. That's not theirs.
Right.
Mutation
You know what I'm
from
saying?
moving up.
So
We
hold
were on
on.
all land mass.
Mutation. I understand that.
So that's what I'm saying. There isn't no this is my land or this is not, that's false.
I
So-called
never
black
said,
people,
bro,
hold on.
but I know
So-called black
what my
people,
area
Earth is
is.
just
Like,
one of.
I'm gonna
Hold
claim
on,
my
my
area like
brother.
a polar
Hold
bear
on, my
should
brother.
Wait,
claim this area, right?
wait.
Like a
Oh my
polar bear
God.
should
Got
Why
claim
are
you.
this
you trying
area.
to speak at the same
Hold on,
time?
my brother. I
It's a
got you.
conversation, it's not an argument.
Exactly. I got you, brother. Hold on. So-called black people, Earth, and the entirety of Earth is just one of our homes. We are abundant everywhere. You see what I'm saying? Like we've been saying, we're ubiquitous, which means we're all everywhere at once. Our species is everywhere at once. We are composed of the same thing as the sun, and there's billions and trillions of stars out there that shares our genetic makeup.
And you
So,
worried about, my bad, go ahead.
and that's and go ahead, you go
Yeah,
ahead, you was
we're worried
cooking.
about, oh, African, there are other people, other brothers and sisters, lands that they have not infiltrated. Quite literally, they named the continent so you wouldn't know where you were at. Like, why are we over here talking about Africa, Asia? Like, they named it that shit. This is your mother's womb. This is Earth. The whole
Yeah,
planet is that. So there's no such thing as a motherland. Her entire womb is that. We
yep,
were found, and we first of all we share biology with every single ounce of this planet.
yep.
Just because they
Right.
were found in caves doesn't mean that they share biology with caves, and as a matter of fact, they don't.
Yeah.
So the thing is like we gotta
I
drop
side with
that them
y'all. Like,
titles. We gotta
I
drop
don't
the
know.
titles, and we can't be passing down titles to children. We
Yeah.
need to be
Yeah.
telling children about what they are composed of genetically, because that's the reason why they go missing. Is they
And
don't go missing because they black. They go missing because of
etymology.
what the black is composed of. So
Right.
etymology, brother, quite literally is something that comes from
What I'm
them.
saying, what
All
I'm
right.
saying
So
is
the language
etymology wise on the
themselves was
wordplay.
created for them because they are non-conducive to the planet.
Yep.
So that's why they need language in order to be able to communicate, because their frequency does not align with the planet. So you have to create
That's a
a
fact. It's
non-audible
all through word
friction way to
vibrations. I
literally
understand that.
speak in order for them to be able to perceive.
Telepathically wise,
Exactly.
So
yes.
I'm saying telepathy is what exists
Yeah, telepathy
first.
wise. Excuse my
Right.
language, right?
Okay.
You're
Thank you
saying I
for
got you
rephrasing.
in the middle of her talking.
Yeah.
You're not getting it, bro. We're
I
literally
understand
like,
everything though, like literally,
okay,
I understand everything she's saying.
all
But you
right,
know,
man.
like I'm talking about the etymology of my wordplay or what I say in my the Aboriginal American. These is definitely probably definitions from people that's not even from our culture. It's probably just might be right, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. But
No, all of it, none of it is ours. That's what we're
what?
saying. None of it is ours. Even if you see that a so-called black man or a black woman created something, we were below our frequency. That was after we had subscribed to their way of thinking.
Yep.
So we
Not
can't
yet.
even, we have to understand. That's why I say we're discussing and going live. It's 400 people in a live about Aboriginal this and the Ameri Indians that. And y'all are all bundled up in one live about that, starting in the middle of his story. If you want to know who you are and where you come from and your origin, you would have to take it back to the beginning of so-called time. So when we say genetics, the base word of genetics is gene, which means origin, and we stuck on his story.
Exactly.
So
So
this takes
when
critical thinking. It's not about, you know what I'm
we
saying?
find
Like we can look at historical fact. Go ahead.
to find ourselves, what do they call us in today's time? What do they not try to call us in today's time? Right? They call it. They don't want to call us the Aborigines, right? They don't want to call us the Indians, right? They don't want to call us the, the Aboriginal, the indigenous, Native American. They don't want to call these things. They want to call us Negroes. They want to call us colored. They want to call us niggas. They want to call us African Americans. These are the things that they want to call us, but the actual things when it comes to definition wise of what these words that I'm speaking on to let our people know who we actually are instead of I understand I'm using modern day words for as Aboriginal American, even though I should be using some ancient words, but I'm using Aboriginal American so they can probably look at these words and say, what is Aboriginal? Oh, this is what it is. Let me do more research on
Yeah, it
that
means
so I
to
can go.
hate the original. So
Yeah.
just like you
Huh?
said, Negroes and colored and all that, that's just another one. And as a
That's what
matter
I'm
of
saying.
fact, I'm gonna put that up here because I have a picture of that where they literally just all these different names that they
That's
called
what they
us. Yeah,
label.
and
They
that's just
simple that
another
they that's what
one.
they. Yes,
Exactly. And the
I
thing is,
understand everything. Etymology wise of the wordplay that I'm using of my name,
but
I'm
what
probably
what
might be wrong on that. We
what
not
we're
the
trying to
Aboriginal
get.
Americans because this is definitely Italian words or Spaniard words. Like I understand that. I'm well aware of that. These are not from our indigenous tribe wordplay. I don't even speak what our tribes are, so I'm not even gonna put something up there that I would understand. But so it's like
So
that's
look at
definitely all the
all
times
of
that
that
they
that we
renamed
called
us,
us. We can just
reclassified us so
add
many times.
it.
Definitely all the
All
times
of
that
that
they
that we
renamed
called
us,
us. We can just
reclassified us so
add.
many times. I
We can.
understand as reclassification, definitely. That's what I'm saying. But there's no indigenous up there besides Indian in
You know
1492.
that,
Besides telling us that's not even that don't
Okay,
even mean it.
brother.
okay,
Okay,
We
hold
are
on,
we,
hold on,
okay,
we
hold on,
okay.
because
The thing.
now it's sounding like you looking for validation of these from these people. It's like you need them to tell you that you're a natural native of this planet. You see what I'm saying? Like, why do they need to tell you that? You see what I'm saying? They calling you that to hide the fact of your scientific nature. That's what they're doing. You see what I'm saying? We just told you the whole language. It doesn't matter who
What it
spoke what it is.
is.
Every single language that deals with words is not meant for us. We never spoke like that. So that's not us. We don't need to be passing down titles. Titles has never done anything but put ourselves in more of a mental prison. That's all it's done. We just want to be the next title, the next name, the next this, but we don't want to be who we truly are. We don't understand how our body functions. We only know 1% of our bodily functions, but we just want to cling on to a title. What is that doing for the species, bro?
Fact. So we have to understand it doesn't matter the title. We just told you, brother, that Aboriginal, abor means to hate. So it means to hate the original. So it's no different than them calling us a slave. When we not a slave, we're not the Slavics. So we need to start understanding our genetics, not the other way around. We don't need to subscribe to titles. That's what they called us. If we switch the title, we just calling us we're still operating under the same narrative, different name. Nothing about us nothing is changing for our community, and it's not changing for our children. I'm not going to teach my child teach children that they're prisoners of war. I'm not going to teach children that they're on a prison planet. I'm not going to teach children that they're hated. I'm not going to teach children nothing about this system, nothing that is patriarchal, because I don't want them to form the a patriarchal to manifest patriarchy. So the reason why it's not changing is
So you're
because
not
we
gonna tell and teach
keep
your kids of what they
subscribing.
up against.
One
Let her finish.
second, that we keep subscribing to their system. We think we need reparations. I'm like, how in the hell do we need money? Look at the money. Do you see yourself on it? So you're subscribing to more of him, and you're going to working for his system. You understand that every single
I
job
don't work.
is
I
just
got my
a
own
part.
business. I
Let
work
me
for self.
finish, brother. Out of respect, I'm almost done. 1 second, okay?
All right.
I'm
All
almost
right.
done. So every single job is just a different organ to the matrix. It's one body. It's an
Yep.
artificial body of the mother of Mother Earth.
Yep.
What she naturally does, she naturally gives us fruit. Nigga talking about we need black Walmarts. I'm like, bro, it's mango trees. It's soap nut trees down the street. It's Asian pear trees down the street. It's a Persian silk tree. See, when you start learning the actual things that grow around you, you're like, damn, they saying this Texas, but there's a lot of Asian wildlife, a lot of Asian fruit, a lot of Asian wildflowers. It's a lot of that will tell you more about who you are
Yeah.
than reading their history books where they're already lying because it's his story.
And their machines are the processing machines are all to copy how your kidney filtrates and processes liquids and all of that. That they copied that. You see what I'm
Facts.
saying? They copy your brain of how it works as a security system and a generator, and they put that in phones and computers. They literally put our neuromelanin in their computers to function. You see what I'm saying? So we got to understand who's really being used and what's happening on the planet and how it is affecting our species. We don't got time to worry about who's first, who's this, when we're all first.
Yeah, come
So-called
on.
black people, we all are native to the planet. You see what I'm saying? We all biologically identify with the
No,
planet.
that's a lie, but we're not even gonna
No,
pump
how?
that. We're not
Okay,
all
so
first.
Okay,
if we
how is
don't
it a
all,
lie?
if we don't, I just said,
You
hold
gotta
on, I
know,
just
go
said
by
all
natural
so-called
law.
black people biologically identify with the planet. So you
Not
said
all.
that's a lie? Explain it to me, scientifically.
Are you talking about black people? I'm thinking you're talking about multi. I think you're
Oh
talking
Nah,
about
my
all
bro.
gosh,
races,
we
like they
not
all
talking
come
about
first and all that. I'm
race.
thinking
We're
you're just
not
putting
talking
all
about
races.
race.
Yeah.
Right now, y'all
I'm
talking
saying
about
so-called black
removing the
people
virus.
because that's the frequency that people coming
That's what
into
y'all
the
talking
live
about.
understand. Yeah,
So-called
I'm
black.
saying so-called black people because that's the frequency people can understand right now.
I
But
definitely understand. I
I
don't
said
understand
so-called,
nothing. I
so-called.
understand.
Okay.
Listen to what I'm saying, brother. Stop cutting me off. You're listening to respond. You're not listening to comprehend. Hold
I'm
on,
not
bro.
even trying to.
I'm
I'm
not.
listening,
Don't
Don't
King.
call
call
us
me,
kings
bro.
and queens,
Don't
bro.
call
That's
us
their
kings and
Understood.
queens.
shit.
That's not that. We're not
That's
that.
not our royalty. We don't do that shit. That's after we fell in
Yeah,
frequency. And
Yes.
we began, that's what I'm saying. You have to understand where you started, what you were doing, what was on the planet, the animals that thrived here, what were the interstellar gases that were here, and actually,
so y'all speaking on the
oh my
level of
gosh,
young
man.
traveler.
All right, man.
Niggas lack
Hey,
respect,
thank
bro.
you, for your
Yeah,
time. Hey,
thank
thank you
you,
I
for your time,
understand his.
bro.
bro.
You know what I'm saying? Thank you for your energy, bro. We try to speak to you, but it's I don't know what you're understanding. We're telling you so-called black people are native to the entire planet and we are planetarians. We are not just on this planet. And this is why you see a lot of scientists saying, "Oh, we're finding a large amount of water in this distant planet or we're finding molecules that are in our waters in distant planets because where there's water there's life and we are that life."
He can speak, but he's speaking over us, and y'all can see him doing that.
Exactly. And y'all
So
talk
the
about can
thing
he
is,
speak?
we're not saying that he can't speak. He's speaking while we're talking. So we're respectful. We let everybody go one at a time because this is a detailed conversation.
Facts.
So you want him to be respectful. I mean, you want us to be respectful in our house. People need to respect and hear us speaking. You requested up on our live. So he can speak, but we've asked him nicely several times, wait until we're done. And to be honest, not to be disrespectful, but when you eat meat and you don't eat according to your genetics, it makes you erratic because there are different things thinking for you. You already have parasites. You're already feeding antigens. They want to speak. They're interfering with the neurotransmitters to your brain.
And that
So you
leaves
are a lot more patient. You are a lot more reserved and grounded in your energy when you eat according to your DNA. That's all that we're saying.
Yep, and when you eat the meat, that leaves underdeveloped prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe, and that deals with planning and seeing things beyond what's in front of you. So you're just listening to the surface of what we're saying, and you're not really seeing what like the intention of why we're saying it and where it's coming from. So this shows us how your brain is functioning, bro. So you just got to be respectful. And that's all we ask and that's all we gonna give. Respect and life. So when we're telling you that so-called black people are native to all land masses, we should from that point on, we should be dropping the diaspora war and focusing on the real issue. Because all we're doing is going down a mental spiral loop and not doing anything for the species. And that's called insanity. We're not creating neuroplasticity for the species.
Facts.
We're not opening new opportunities and manifesting new doors.
Facts.
We're not opening new opportunities and manifesting new doors for the next generation to crawl out of, to make it out of. You see what
Right.
I'm saying?
We're passing
We're
indoctrination, telling them that they aboriginal, telling them to hate
exactly
themselves, aboriginal, telling them to hate
exactly.
themselves, telling them that they need money, telling them that they gotta work, telling them they gotta flex, telling them they gotta chase a bag. We're passing down indoctrination. So in here, like I've said many times, Children are listening. I will mute anybody's mic before I spread misinformation on my live.
Facts.
Everybody else, they run it differently. That's cool. In here, we don't do that though. All right. So the thing is, we are not these titles. The universal law is matriarchal. We are in a patriarchal society. If we want to see different and actually thrive, we would have to go back to that. So what were we doing? What animals were here? Because animals are coming online. New bacteria that is being fueled by the sun is coming. They're saying that they're banning beaches.
Exactly.
We worried about money. They banning beaches because they worried about microorganisms and bacteria.
It's called a vibrous bacteria that naturally occurs and spreads through heat.
Yep.
Is natural to the planet. So why are y'all not supposed to be in that water?
Facts.
Why y'all not? So the virus is scared of the bacteria.
And every virus needs a host.
Exactly. And they say viruses are made up of few molecules. So that's why they were used to be not able to reproduce, because viruses cannot reproduce on their own. They need a host to steal their materials and energy to survive. And we are that host, and they literally steal our energy and materials to survive on the planet. So that's all we saying. We got to see that. We got to be introspective at this very moment and be very intuitive with what's happening on the planet, because it's happening with an alignment to our genetics.
Right. All right. Go ahead, Mama Cosmos, and we'll get back to the brother at the top.
Hey, peace, y'all.
Abundance.
So, I have a pretty cool experiment that everybody can do. But first, I wanted to start off by saying that, okay, you know how when you look at neuromelanin under a microscope and you have frequency, like music, some kind of sound or whatever, it reacts different than a cell that doesn't have neuromelanin, right? And the way that we can actually do that, if everybody just goes to like YouTube and they look up an award show, a music award show, and you actually pay attention to the audience, just look at the audience and how a YT audience reacts to the music versus a so-called black audience reacts to the music. It's totally different. It's totally different. So just that little basic thing right there, that shows that we're not the same. Like, we don't react the same to different things, to frequency, to sound, to foods, to anything. We don't react the same to the sun. You know, we react different. When you have people who come into your chat, you can use that one little experiment right there and say, hey, look at how a YT audience reacts to music versus a so-called black audience reacts to music, and see the difference.
Right, because we have two different audible sensory systems,
Right.
and two different integumentary systems. So that's what we're saying. None of it is mysticism. It's actually just science, and it's genetics, and it's biology. That's why I want my people, stop fucking going live about racism, bro. Stop inviting these people in your space and then talking about all proceedings go to the Congo. That pisses me off, man. That is so sad. Chunk change from TikTok going to Congo while we invite the oppressor in here and trauma bond. It's disgusting, and we don't even see it for real because we're too busy subscribing to their narrative. Why the hell would we come together to sit here and talk about racism when he created that? Why the hell are we focused on skin color when we know that it's about DNA? Why do you say Eve gene and then go live about racism? So we don't understand it. Why do we say we're the blueprint, but we can't really explain it? We tell each other we nine ether, we goddess, we divine, we this, we that, we sun that, but we cannot explain it. We can't tell each other what the sun is composed of. We can't tell each other what neuromelanin is. We can't explain what ether is. We don't know what ubiquitous means. We don't know what amorphous. That's what we need to know, because that's why they're doing what they're doing. And if it's not because of the color of your skin, it's because of what it's composed of, y'all. We got to get real about that.
And if we're not saying it to each other, we're definitely not saying it out there in reality to them.
Facts.
and
And
that
that's
and that's not cause and that's not helping the species move forward or causing a shift that we want. Saying, "Oh, we tired of this," but we not stepping on business out there. We want to be nine
facts.
ether on the phone, on TikTok and Instagram, but we don't want to be nine ether and cosmic beings in real life.
Right.
We want to go to work. We want to play basketball with these people. We go on dates with these people. What the hell is going on?
People want to laugh at it being from when we say cosmic, okay, but where's Earth? Come on, man. Are you located on Earth per se? And where is Earth located? So why the hell are we mysticizing the cosmos? Cosmos is just another word for space.
Yep, and it's all
Ether,
constructed.
yeah, ether is a scientific term. Like it's normally spelled with the A in front of it. It's science. It's not spiritual Rashad Jamal. No, Rashad Jamal did not create this shit. He was a puppet. Like the fuck.
And I saw
An
somebody
agent.
I saw somebody earlier say they don't believe in space, but it's all sacred geometry. And when the mother of life was talking about how we react to frequencies prior to them, and she's talking about what's it called? Damn, I'm losing my train of thought here. Damn, I lost my train of thought, but she's basically explaining cymatics and how we absorb frequencies. And this is what I was gonna say. When our cells absorb this light, you know what I'm saying? It creates geometrical shapes like the tetrahedron, the octahedron, the icosaedrons. It makes geometrical shapes based on the higher of the frequency. So we actually like are performing scaffolding at a cellular level.
Yep.
So this is what is going on. That's what I was trying to say. My fault, y'all.
And scaffolding is when you look at these energy towers that they have built, that's scaffolding. That's what our cells do that's what we do on a cellular level. That takes place in a so-called gestation period of a black woman.
Yep.
So the Big Bang is not, it's a theory. No, the Big Bang is taking place every single mega per second. This is what we're doing on a quantum level. So none of it is mystical. It's all science. But go ahead, the brother at the top. I'm not gonna call you that name because you're not that.
Yeah,
and then
go
we'll
ahead.
get to the sister
Well,
Gaia.
I'm definitely an Aboriginal for sure. I don't know what you talking about.
We just told
It's cool, whatever.
Yeah,
It's
y'all tell me
cognitive
what y'all
dissonance.
tell- I'm
But go
saying.
ahead.
I go by a title, right? Just as much as y'all saying y'all don't go by the title I go by, but y'all going by a title is crazy, you know?
What
Just because
title
y'all
are we
go
going by?
Y'all going by frequency titles. You're not going by what down on
Frequency
paper.
titles?
Yeah, y'all going by scientifical titles. Y'all not going by what's down on paper, what you could sue people for, nothing. Y'all just talking about some things that y'all can't win in courts or nothing. What are y'all talking about right now? Like literally.
Why are you trying to win shit in their court, bro?
What you mean in
They
their court? But
created
this
a
is what
court
life is.
system,
This is what
bro.
life is. This is
They
what we gotta
created
go by.
brother.
Like, what you
They
think our
created a
ancestors
court
fought
system
for?
just to put you in a cage.
All right. So what makes y'all think that y'all gonna just get on TikTok and talk us out of the court system and I don't. What do y'all think y'all doing though?
I'm not trying to. I didn't bring up court.
We talking you out
Well,
of the
this is
court.
what
I'm
it
not.
is. Though, like, but
Nobody
this is what
brought up
life
court,
is,
but
though,
you,
like,
brother.
literally.
I said leave their system alone. That includes shopping at their grocery stores, working,
Yeah.
Going
sending
to
their
their
children
doctors.
to their schools, waving at these people when they wave back, giving them
Yeah.
your energy, breathing in their microbiome. That's what I'm talking about. I'm
Y'all think
talking
that's
about
gonna
the
happen?
different genetic difference. I'm not talking about no weak ass court system.
Are you?
Like
Do
nigga, the
you think
court
that's gonna
system will
happen?
go. Their money is already fake and it's
You
depreciating and has no value.
That's understandable.
Look at
We
what the
understand.
dollar is composed of. Like it's made of fake materials.
and you want to go to court with animals. We're telling you these people have animals, and your psychological state, your mental state is determined by your biology. And these people they don't have a prefrontal cortex or frontal lobe. Their
That's what I'm
highest.
saying. We're
Hold
speaking
on,
about the
hold on. That's
prefrontal
not what you were
cortex.
saying.
I'm
You
a
were saying
holistic and
Said court
you
system.
said you said you wanted us to go to court.
I
That's
didn't
not
hear
what
you.
you were saying.
I'm
So
gonna let
their
you
brain
continue.
conductivity, because they're low electric beings that cannot absorb high frequency. And when we was talking about frequency, we're just talking about the speed of atoms moving slow or fast. So back to what I was saying though, they're only able to operate the orbital frontal cortex, the orbital frontal cortex, not the actual frontal cortex. So these people are not mentally or psychologically capable enough to medically, psychologically, and evaluate us or police us on our planet. So we don't need to be involving ourselves in anything in their system when it was built on our genocide. You see what I'm saying? So
Right, and that's what
we don't need to be involving ourselves with these people whatsoever because our genetics doesn't involve with these people whatsoever. That's what
and
we're
that's how you
saying. So when you're saying, "Oh, we're operating frequency titles," that makes no sense. We're talking about wavelengths that we can feel in the air. We're talking about the
right.
air that we breathe in and out
That's
that
frequency,
feeds
right
our
or
whole
wrong?
entire body. You see what I'm saying?
Air is frequency, right?
Yes, air is frequency.
All right,
But
I'm listening.
Prana.
it's called prana. You see what I'm saying? That's what
Right, but it's
spirituality is.
frequency at
Man.
when it comes to the topic of which I talking about, y'all could name it different names, but it's still frequency, right? When it comes down to megahertz and all these other hertz, right? It's still frequency, right? It comes down to frequency, right?
Right. So what are you trying to
So
say?
y'all are naming y'all titles off of frequency, right? That's what y'all based on, but
We're
in
saying so-called everything. We already know that
reality,
this is
right?
a
We cannot
dogmatic,
go to court with
satanic
what y'all talking
language.
about.
We're telling you that. Of course, we're using this language because we're in this
Yeah.
frequency, right? But
Yes,
we're
and I
but
understand
we're
that.
trying to raise our consciousness, right?
Yes,
So
as you
that's
should.
my message, brother. We're trying to
But
go
y'all
up.
saying that I'm
Let
wrong for the
me
titles that I'm
finish,
using.
bro. I'm brother.
Man, let her finish, bro.
Like, relax.
Your cortisol levels are spiking up
Yeah,
during nighttime.
relax.
That's a problem.
That's a problem. You
You should
should
not be
not be doing
producing
that. Over
cortisol levels during your parasympathetic system when it's on, which is when the melatonin is being produced. You should not be producing that, and you're cutting
relax.
off.
Take deep
Let's calm
breaths
down.
from the breath from your stomach. Don't breathe with your mouth for a second. Take like 5, 10 if you can, and relax for a second. Relax that endocrine system, your nervous system for a second. Because the only way you can manifest the reality that you want is if you can have a regulated nervous system. So back to what I was saying, I understand your point. You're saying, oh, you're calling it this, you're calling it that, so I'm going to just call myself this. We're saying we know that we are here. Our main goal is to pave a way out through consciousness because that is the only thing that exists. You're in the consciousness of subscribing to a title. That's why it is important to you. We're in the consciousness of being beyond a title because that's who we are. There's nothing that could ever put us in a box or a classification. Quite literally, you are saying that you hate yourself by subscribing to the title of being Aboriginal. And we've explained that to you. So there's something called cognitive dissonance, okay? And it's when facts are presented to you and when there's no way to deny it, you still find a way to deny it. That is a mental illness.
Yep.
I'm not saying that you're mentally ill, but you are subscribing to a cognitive dissonant type of mindset. You came in here, brother, talking about etymology, and I respect that. We gave you the etym on Aboriginal. You denied that and still picked it back up. That is you exercising, you being cognitive dissonant. As black people, so-called black people, we have to literally take accountability for where we are. We're not doing victim mentality. We're not blaming them. We're not giving them no energy. We're saying, okay, we have subscribed to this shit. Our children are here. We're here. This is where we're at. How the hell do we get out of here? That's what this is about. The sun is doing its job by removing them off the planet. This is what UVC radiation does. And this is the reason why the chromosomal deletion syndromes are amping up.
Yep. The nucleus is being removed.
1p36, SLOS phenotype. What is it? Q131.
Yep.
Every single chromosome that exists, that's the deletion.
Yep.
Every single last one of the chromosomes are being deleted because it cannot withstand the interstellar gases and the nanodiamonds that are pouring into the planet now. So it's low 90s in Texas, and these people cannot take this sun. And this is not even as hot as it has been, or as hot as it's going to get. We can talk about weather all day long, but what they don't want to talk about is that UV index.
And
all right.
All of their chromosomes have hundreds to several thousand genes. You see what I'm saying? And that can't sustain here no more because the sun is trying to communicate with each organism at once. But then it can't do that. You see what I'm saying? Because y'all cells can't hold on to the vibration. So we're not talking about titles. We're talking about the function of these
Thank
of
you.
the words.
Right.
What is the function? What is the physics of
We're
it?
talking about microcosm.
Yeah.
You're talking about systematic, and it's not the same thing. We're talking about science. You talking about systematic oppression. You're talking about politics. We're talking about science, not political science. We're talking about genetics. All right. Go ahead and land, and then we'll get to KP and then Gaia.
Well, I love science and I love history. So what y'all speaking about, I know about. I know all about it. So it's nothing that y'all speaking about that I don't know of. So I'm just trying to understand why y'all making it seem as if I'm against my people or something just because I'm using some modern day words.
We didn't say that you were against anybody. We said that your name means to hate the original. That's
Yeah.
all. When we said that we're not going to teach our children that.
And the lives that we see you on, you're using these modern
Right.
day words to say your brothers and mothers of
Oh
life on
yeah.
a different landmass is not you.
You sure
So
are.
you're lying. You just lied
Oh
to
yeah.
101 people saying that you didn't do that when that's all you do.
It's 11:11 and there's 111 people in here, and we have sat
So
in a
we
live
caught you.
with you where you made fun of your African, so-called African brothers and sisters for being booty scratchers, for living in mud huts, and for eating monkeys. But you're in America eating horses, humans, dogs,
Alligators.
cats, alligators, sea bugs. You're doing the same thing because we've all been indoctrinated, and that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
So you're no better than them. You're saying, oh, we from America, but then you're making fun of them for being Africans, and you're saying the Africans ain't us. That's what we wanted to talk to you about, but you requested up first. We
Yep.
would have never said anything to you unless you had you not requested up. Now you ducking.
And that's
Now
what
you're
we
saying that,
saying.
oh, you saying I'm trying to run from, you're saying this about my people. Do you believe, and I'm going to ask you this, and I just need you to give me a simple yes or no. Okay? Do you believe that all so-called black people are the same genetically?
Um, Genetically, biologically, um,
Mm-hmm.
like everybody originated from Africa, type shit, right?
Oh my gosh,
Thank you for your
man.
time, bro. Thank you for your energy, bro. Hey, everybody who's been watching this
Like,
live and this
did
conversation
everybody
right here,
originate from Africa?
everybody, we took. What is the first thing that we said? We didn't say anything about us all coming from Africa. We explained us being ubiquitous. We explained how we're from different
I
planets.
never said
We
Africa.
explained how Earth is just one of our homes, and look where he landed back to. So we're not gonna keep going under this mental loop, this spiral. So thank you for your energy. I hope you really watch this YouTube live because we're gonna post this on YouTube.
Yeah.
And we really want you to watch this conversation and really watch how you're answering these questions. So
Yes.
thank you for that. We're gonna have to
You
move
can
to the
stay
next
up
guest
here,
though.
but we're gonna move to the next guest. Go ahead, KP.
Yeah, yeah. Like this like I get thrown off a lot of panels for saying this. You know what I'm saying? And I did my research on Caucasians. You know I don't even call them that, but white tea people. You know what I'm saying? I know they got animal DNA. So thing about it is, and on panels I get thrown off just for you know what I'm saying mentioning it. You know what I mean? And so, hey, I understand what y'all talking about. So, you know what I mean? Now I know they come from somewhere else. They're not supposed to even be on this planet.
So
So,
where
you
do they
know,
come from, if you don't mind me asking you?
they come from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Somebody put them together because they got a lot of animals in them. I tell you that much. They got
So
bugs.
yeah, they're here through introgression, which is done through hybridization. So them being animals, you can't put like a a a, a celery can't reproduce with a dog, right? So how do you get the DNA in one organism? And that's only done through introgression. So that's what we mean when we say that I know that we know this information, but as a people, we are unable to articulate it in base form,
Like
like
test
just the
tube,
basics
like
to
test
each
tube,
other.
like
So
right.
Just let her finish.
go ahead.
Oh, okay, my
Go
bad.
ahead.
Now I'm saying like they come out of them test tubes.
Right.
That's what I was saying. They like
Okay.
cabbage patch kids.
Right. Okay, abundance for that. All right, I'm gonna come back to you. Go ahead, Gaia.
Greetings,
Progression.
greetings.
Supreme.
I was
Supreme.
coming up here just to ask the question because my views are very, very different, but I do see this particular topic in one way or another a lot in this space, like on TikTok and stuff. And I just wanted to know, with the way that you guys are viewing things and the research that you've done and how you feel concerning white tea people and their genetics, things like that. What is like your day-to-day practices? Like, how do you, because YT people are still a very large part of the population. What do you do on the day to day? Like, what is your agenda? Now that you know this information, what's your agenda? Like, what are you planning to do? And like, what is like your day to day? What are your interactions with YT people? How does that go with you having the strong opinions that you do about things?
With the what that we have? What was the last part of what you
Having the
said?
strong opinions about these particular things that you do. Like, what is your day to day?
So we don't interact with white people. We don't work for our system. We literally manifest our reality every single day. Ever since we locked in with energy, I personally, I took an entire year while I was still giving energy to the system. I was still unaware, but I knew that something wasn't right. And I knew the way that I was being treated by these people were different. I knew the basis of biology because I understand science and I understand it on a spiritual level as well. So I locked in with E equals MC squared. I studied energy, and this is how I'm able to articulate it now. I read, I studied, and when I studied my own energy, when I studied the brain, I began to manifest my own reality because I understand the subconscious mind. I understand the amygdala, the cerebellum, the fear parts of the brain, and I know how to activate other parts of my brain to actually be vivid, to create images to actually match the frequency to that reality. It's very simple. So when we interact with white people, we come and get into it with white people all the time. We have different platforms. We talk about how we get stopped by the police. We've had at least 10 encounters with the police since March. And we're not behind bars because we run their genetics down. You're not supposed to be policing us. And we know our so-called rights in their system too. So, but we don't push their rights. We push our genetics. And what was it? 2 weeks ago, we were detained by 3 police, and they were like, they actually stopped to listen to what we were saying. They were like, "What are y'all, biologists?" We said, "Yeah," and we know that our biology is different. And not that long ago, y'all were called slave patrol, and you took the same oath as your grandfather, and you're trying to police me on my planet, dressed in a black suit with SPF on, which looks like me under a UV light. When they hear that, they've never heard that shit before because our people are not stepping behind genetics. They just hand them the ID.
Right.
So it's a different reality whenever you change your mindset. You eat according to your genetics and you understand your opponent. That's why I would never waste my time with history. Again, I was already a history major. I don't even need to go through that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even need to finish that out. That's not telling me nothing about these people. It's just telling me about how they came in my house, took everything, and now they're using it against me. But how were they able to do it? Now I got to look at genetics because now they're not doing shit. It's just me subscribing to it. So when we're in the grocery store, if we have to go because we grow our own fruits and vegetables and stuff here too, if we interact with these people, we let them know you're not natural if they take it there.
Right.
Somebody try to come up to us in the grocery store, back up. They're like, back up. Yes, back up. We're not the same speed. What do you mean we're not the same? You can't tell?
Look at our
Phenotypically,
phenotype.
that's
Yeah.
how we interact with white people.
Yeah, we
Gotcha.
interact with them like standing on business. You see what I'm saying? We stay true to who we are. So we're reading about neuromelanin and we're reading about this self-sustaining molecule, this self-organizing molecule, and how it functions on a cellular level. Then me as the macroorganism of that cell, I should be behaving like that cell because that is just a microcosm of the macrocosm. So I have to be moving in that manner. And what the energy that you're in is what creates the reality for the
Yeah.
future, for tomorrow.
We're in a neighborhood where we're the minority, so called. We're around them and they can't stand seeing us outside, grounding, all of that. They call their people on them all the time and we don't care. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is, every time they come in our space, we tell, and they've never heard it before. they're used to people just subscribing to that shit or being scared. When we actually stand on business, they don't know what to do because they didn't expect us to do that. So
Right.
the so-called freedom that people are looking for is inside of you. You have to create it.
And
You're right.
it only can happen through internal alchemy. That's how you perform outer alchemy, through
Okay,
internal alchemy.
brother at the top, you if you want to leave, feel free, brother. We was getting back to you, but whatever. We not finna do no negativity.
Yeah,
This
we're
is a
gonna.
space for learning, and if you have a question and if you want to share and build, that's what we do. But if you feel some type of way off of just me keeping it real with you, that's you're the you know what I'm saying? It's about how you respond to it. But sister, did that answer your question?
Yeah,
Yes, and
I
I
was
have.
speaking of, I
Oh,
was
my
saying
bad.
this is we got to perform internal alchemy to perform outer alchemy. You see what I'm saying? It's a mental frequency. It's a mental universe. So when people say what should we be doing? What should we be doing? But you're inside of your head all day. You know what I'm saying? You're manifesting all day. You go into the bathroom, that's manifestation. So
Literally.
are you manifesting a better lifestyle for your species, or are you manifesting the system to continue running on? You see what I'm
Facts.
saying? That's what you got to be thinking about. Every day you have to be manifesting a way out of this system, because the
Facts.
only system that our cells follow is the universal law
Yeah.
system, which is the law of correspondence. You see what I'm saying? The law of polarity, the law of rhythm. That's what our cells follow. So when you saying what should we be doing on a daily basis, we should be in alignment with the planet and the sun, and moving forward or evolving with the solar system. You see what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And that's what practicing alchemy. That's what being creative
Reading,
and
like
read.
literally
Yeah,
just reading. Like I
you
don't
know what I'm
even want
saying?
to overwhelm people. Please just pick up a book. You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like not that, but I'm just saying like literally reading. Put the phones down. Go outside. That's what he's saying. Like be detailed about everything. Read. Like because right now we're just consuming. If you don't
right.
know how to silence those thoughts and know how to center yourself, you won't manifest. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is.
Okay, thank you. I was just wanting to know about, different perspectives and everything because I see a lot of people on here who have similar ways of looking at life as you do. So I was just wondering how you guys do your day to day. But thank you.
Abundance.
Abundance.
All right. Brother at the top, it's back on you.
Finally, the goddesses and gods finally need back up. Yeah, man. What y'all wanted me to say? Cause it just shut me down. Like I ain't had nothing to say.
Do you want to add to the conversation that we're having? Or what are you
As far
we're
as
just going in order?
Neanderthals, Homo sapiens sapiens, I don't know, but what y'all was talking about far as holistic wise, y'all was saying that I eat meat, and y'all can say from my frontal lobe that I'm a
I have a
meat
question for
eater.
you, brother. What do you think? What do you think your role is on this planet as a so-called black man? What do you
Mm.
think you're
My
supposed to be
purpose,
doing on this planet?
my purpose,
Yeah, what do you think your purpose is on this planet? What do you think you're supposed to be doing?
minister to teach, lead, guide the young, the youth to become the greatest them, plant seeds into, computers out here so they can become us, I guess,
We
right?
can't really hear you. It's a little
Yeah,
muffled.
yeah. Let's be clear what we say when we're speaking on that topic. Go ahead.
All right,
Your purpose.
far as planting seeds into the youth, right? So they could become gods, right? So they could be able to multiply and gain resources. So they could be able to do better for themselves and those around them, right? But I'm pretty sure that's all frequency wise as well. We can do that frequency wise,
No, I'm just, no.
by spreading
The
love.
thing is, the children that you're talking about are already star seeds. So I just want to know what seeds are you implanting in their brain for them to
There
become these so-called gods? What does it mean to be this so-called god? Like what is your purpose as a so-called black man? Can you really answer that for me, bro?
To do for self and love for self, and to so you could be able to do for others. What is that plan?
are you guessing or do you
Yeah,
know? It's okay
No,
if
I'm
you
asking
don't
y'all.
know.
Y'all don't know that y'all supposed to do for self, love self, so you could be able to do for others.
Brother, we're asking you, what is your role as a man? That's it. What is your
What
role
is my
as a
role?
man on the planet, as a so-called black man? That's all we're asking.
But yeah, me per se, I holistically heal individuals so they could be able to, get off of pharmaceutical drugs and, you know,
Bro,
pertain to the
you just
holistic
flagged my
lifestyle.
live, bro. So I gotta take
Yeah.
you off. And you just up here playing, and y'all do that every time. Y'all come in here and then y'all get debunked, and then y'all start playing, and then you start sharing the live with your friends so they can come in here and do that dumb shit in the comments. Like, come on, y'all.
And you
We've
see,
asked y'all for months to explain us the genetic differences between so-called African Americans and so-called Africans, and every time y'all come in here and play. Y'all are gonna be live tomorrow with 400 people in your live playing. And it's sad because I know that you're like 10, 20 years my senior.
and
And we're asking you what is your role on the planet as a man, and you up here playing. So
and
F1 in the chat, please, because he just flagged my live. So
And you see how he didn't mention that
about the children at all.
about the 8 million children going missing, about protecting the children,
At
how his
800
body is made for
million.
adversity and is made to protect. You know what I'm saying, and put order and enforce the feminine energy. You see what I'm saying? The fact that she's the mother of life, he's not pushing none of that, but he want to push that he's the aboriginal. He hates the original. So you couldn't tell us the role of a man on the planet, but yet you trying to say you planting seeds to the next generation. So thank you for that. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on to the next guest. You know what I'm saying? Let's move on, because that was very disappointing to see
Yeah.
from a son, a fellow brother. You know what I'm saying? Because you're a reflection of me, and you're a reflection of every so-called black man out there. And we need to be stepping for our species, bro.
That was a
All
disappointing
of these weak
response.
ass houses are getting removed by the wind and all of this shit, bro. All of the weather anomalies that because Earth and the sun is tired. So who got to be really building these structures for our women and children so they can have proper shelter, bro? Y'all
Facts.
niggas want to talk about we this, we that, but these people that you're talking about was building for their community. Y'all
Right.
not building shit. So I don't want to hear shit.
Go ahead, Amira. Welcome in abundance.
Hey,
Abundance, mother.
my voice off. Hey y'all,
Abundance.
that man, he was, he was
How you doing,
confused.
everybody?
Hold on, brother. The mother of life is speaking. We're gonna get to you next.
Abundance, brother. Welcome in. You're next. Go ahead, Amira.
Yeah, that man was very confusing. I was trying to track what he was saying, but it wasn't really making much sense. And I completely agree with everything that's being said. You know, we've already shifted. Like the star seeds are here, the ancient ones are here, and the work starts. And one thing I'm gonna say about like so-called African Americans, our demographic, we have so much decolonization to do because we are still so deeply, our identities are so deeply intertwined with this Western society. It's like we have to disassociate from these limiting identities. Like because with his profile picture, he was, was saying Aboriginal, which that's true in a sense, but that's not like we are multi-dimensional beings, and we have to expand our perception of our identity regarding that. You know, we were we our ancestors dwelled on this whole planet. So because don't get me wrong, I understand our plight. Like we are in search of identity, we're in search of truth, but we are getting wrapped up in these words and these minimized identities. We are way bigger than these perceived identities. And I feel like we kind of getting caught up on the story and not like who we actually are in totality.
Facts, my sister. You cooking. We subscribing to the narrative, and this not even our narrative. You cooking.
Come
And
on,
we
man.
and when you said decolonization, that's exactly what we have to do is dismantle. So
Yes.
we can't keep calling ourselves these titles because you're telling your brain you are that.
Yep.
Right.
That's what it is. You are manifesting that reality, right?
Mm.
When we say, "Oh, okay, get up so we can go to school," comes from skole. That means to hold back. So you're
Mm.
not actually gaining consciousness, you're just gaining indoctrination. It's not real
Mm.
math and science. Is his story, right? Is that stuff is not ours.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that we taught them, they screwed it and perverted it, and now they're selling it back to us.
And
So we
let's
gotta really see it. Abundance for that.
And the thing is, when people saying in the comments, "What are we supposed to be doing? What do we do?" So what do we do? You should be dismantling what was taught to you.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? You should be finding out what is true and then dismantling the untrue. You see what
You
I'm saying?
should be
Falseness.
redefining your perception of success. A lot of us think that success is having all of these material possessions. Where are your intellectual properties? What is your
Mm,
relationship with Mother Gaia? Because
mm,
come on, man, like we gotta do better. Like success for you should be trying to have a farm. Success for you should be trying to be in oneness with nature, finding a peace and serenity. Like, let's talk about the environmental pollution. What do you do on your spare time? Do you go outside? Because I know I do. I go outside and I clean Mother Gaia up.
okay.
You know, it's not fun, but at the end of the day, it's necessary. Like, we have to reposture ourselves as people. We're not servants of humanity anymore.
Or of each other, right? We're not serving each other. We're not being each other's currency. We're not trying to help each other out. We don't when we see each other, we don't greet each other.
Yeah.
We look at each other with animosity, but
As
we say
competition.
when we're online, we be like, "What's up, reflection?" So I'm your reflection online, but not in real life. So we got to
Ooh,
get to the point to where we really start putting this stuff into practice. You know what I'm saying? Really start manifesting the reality that we want to see for each other. See, people hear manifestation, they like, okay, how can I get money?
ooh,
You see what I'm
you better
saying?
preach.
You'll have a much better outcome of you manifesting the thing that you want than to manifest an insulator. It's called money. It's cloth. You're electromagnetic. Cloth is an insulator to electricity. It's the
And
middleman between what it is that you actually want. So
Mm-hmm.
quite literally, you would have to match the frequency of you having that thing. So if it's your people loving each other again, you have to actually be at the frequency of that, which means that you have to sit there in stillness in your femininity, right? Whether masculine or feminine, right? Because that's a feminine quality, a feminine aspect, and actually picture love, authenticity, peace, gratitude being spread amongst your people. We're not doing that. Niggas is trying to manifest using Gababi codes for manifest money. Like mother don't know no fucking money, y'all. that
mother
that
knows
is
abundance.
created by the white man. So
Mm.
why are we trying to go to our mother and ask her for more? Like, come on, man. We got to actually realize what we're doing.
When you embody abundance, all will manifest from there.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that, like you said, that's part of the decolonization. Even in the way that we posture ourselves spiritually, is colonized. Think about the Christian church. One thing that we have never dealt with is this extensive nature of spiritual entrapment. No shade. The Christian church has us so deeply confined to fear because we are afraid of going, unalive and in hell, you know. And that is it's been such a powerful spiritual entrapment for us because we quite literally see that the Christian church for BLK people is nothing like the YT Christian church. Our ancestors encoded hoodoo and voodoo into our churches in order for these to still function as spiritual safe havens for us. And we saw the commercialization of the church happen when they started to incentivize our, because remember guys, the church was not always destabilizing to our community until they created a monetary incentive behind changing the way that we communally progressed. So instead of us running back from spirituality to Christianity and going through all of this spiritual psychosis, it, group meditation is so important because it's group manifestation. Like when she said you do that, you do your scripting when you're writing things that you know to be true, but with an actual real, with a real pencil, with a real wooden pencil, using the elements. In our community, it's so important that we stop centering Christian ideology because a lot of times, even in our spirituality, we recenter Christianity. And part of spiritual ascension and truly growing and progressing spiritually is truly letting go of these limited perceptions. And we always trying to break down and esoterically understand the Bible. That information, you are the information that you need. It's all in your blood. It's all in your personhood. And we gotta let go.
Yeah, absolutely. We gotta drop the two, in my opinion, the two main things that are holding us back as a community is the diet and religion. It's not even just Christianity because the Hebrew Israelites is amping up again. You see what I'm saying? All these Solani, all these different titles like
Islam.
yeah, Solani is what, y'all? What is that?
Hell if I know, man.
You know what I'm saying? The soul is what? Neuromelanin.
Mm.
Sol is SOL, which is sun, which is neuromelanin, which is produced in the pineal gland. That's what's functioning all of your cells. You're a unicellular functioning organism, prokaryotic, here through biogenesis. You evolved with the planet, which evolved with the cosmos, from micro to macrocosm. So the thing is like we wanna cling to religion, which is just explaining who we are. I mean, come on, man. Genesis, base word of Genesis is gene, which means origin. When it's talking about Eve, that's Eve gene. Adam is atom. So Adam, right? Atom, and Eve gene. Come on. Virgin Mary, we're talking about the 9 high priestesses, the 9 so-called virgins are women that gave birth through parthenogenesis at the Parthenon. So it's science. If we're gonna do history, start with science, and then you can see how we ended up in the state that we did historically, but understand who's who. Understand you're not the titles, right? So they can say Irish, but we know that our people was there first, right? We can say Minoans, but we know that our people were the ancient Minoans. We can say Egyptian, but we know that we were there first, right? It doesn't matter the title. What does genetics say?
We have to expand our perception of identity. We are metaphysical beings having a human experience. That should be enough. And I know a lot of people say you have to know your history in order for you to not repeat it. But quite frankly, I feel as if we have studied long enough. We need to start embodying that in which we are. And part of that is that decolonization, is that disassociation from self-limiting beliefs. Because this YT society, Eurocentric society, wicked society we live in, quite frankly, socially engineers us to have an inferiority complex, to deeply disassociate us from our divine majesty.
Absolutely. So I wanted to address the comments and then we'll get to Vano. Uh Somebody said people who are melanated and indigenous to America. So everything on the planet that is living has melanin. There are 5 types of melanin, and this is the reason why we phenotypically present different, right? So white people, just for example, excuse me, they have melanin. They're not non-melanated. They have pheomelanin, right? So-called Dravidians or so-called Mexicans, they are eumelanated, right? When we look at so-called black people, that is neuromelanin. And this is the reason why a so-called Dravidian can be dark, right? But they don't have the same genetic composition or the same texture of the integumentary system as us because it's a different biochemical substance that's there. So plants have melanin as well. That's allomelanin, right? Microorganisms have melanin. It's called pyomelanin. So I know that we're still learning. That's the reason why I say it. But I just want y'all to know that there's 5 different types of melanin. If we had the same melanin as them, we would look like them. They would look like us. Because your phenotype is a physical expression, or excuse me, your phenotype is a physical expression of your genotype, right? And that's 9th grade biology, right? We know that. Your genotype is connected to your phenotype. So the reason why they look that way, the reason why they smell like that when they get wet is because they are sulfur and ammonia based. Right? They share DNA with several different animals that can't naturally reproduce with themselves.
Man,
This
they
is what
can't even think.
introgression and hybridization is talking about, right?
And
But
there's no such thing as America, Africa, Australia. There's no such
right,
thing as these places. We're on planet Earth, Mother Earth.
That
right.
was never
We're
their
inside of a
name.
womb. You know what I'm saying? And there's different parts of her womb, you know what I'm saying, that we're connected to. So it's not you're just spewing, you know what I'm saying, false ideologies.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a title, period. We need to drop them, all
Yep.
of them. It doesn't matter. We should not be teaching the titles to children. We should be teaching them their genetics, because that's what this is about. We're going missing at a high rate, not because we black. It's because of what the black is composed of, right? So that's what we got to realize. I'm gonna get right back to you, Sister Amira. I just want to tap in with Vano, and then we'll get back to Mama Cosmos and then you. Go ahead, brother. You're on mute. Go ahead, Vano. It says he has to wait. Let's see. Vano, can you come off mute?
Yeah, if he wants to talk, then he can.
Okay, 1 second. I know he has like 21 more seconds. But yeah, y'all tap and share the live. If you disagree with any of the genetics that's being discussed in here, request up. You see what I'm saying? The topic is on the screen. The sun is removing the virus. It's removing the eukaryotic cell.
Yep.
So this goes for everybody that is not black, because there's 2 cellular functions, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. And right now, the UVC radiation has been removing them off the planet since 2015, because that's when it's been ground level. This is why all the news stations are warning about the heat wave. This is the reason why the heat feels the way that it does, because it's not actually the heat, it's the UV index. All right. So that's the topic that we're discussing in here. 2 different species. We're not the same species. Everybody that is not black is of a different species. If the mother is not black, you are not black, because it's the mother's genetics that determines the offspring.
Yep. And we are
Cell potency.
and we are prokaryotic cell organisms, you know what I'm saying? Single cell organisms. So when the electric charge hits our cells, it actually stimulates through our cells through ionic channels. You know what I'm saying? We are bonding with the sun. The atom molecules, the charged ionized particles, we're bonding with it, and it's making our cells vibrate higher, meaning that we're changing into something new. We're becoming less dense and becoming a little more crystallized, and we're gonna be, like we said, like I just said, more crystallized. But for them, they're under their cells, specifically their eukaryotic cells. The nucleus is being removed, and that's how all the different animal genetics are able to communicate with each other to actually perform protein synthesis and enzymic reactions to construct the organs, tissue, and to keep it flowing. So with this being disrupted, now the animals can't communicate with each other to see what protein is going to be produced. So now that cell is disintegrating or undergoing mutation and deletions. And this is why their people are undergoing acute body radiation. You know what I'm saying? Abnormalities with their cardiovascular health, with their reproductive health, and
Degenerative.
neurodegenerative health.
Yeah.
So this is what's going on.
Facts.
They're getting
Vano.
removed off the planet.
Yeah, in mass amounts, and this is why weather anomalies are amping up as well, because sunlight, you have UV light, but then you have terrestrial radiation, which is Earth, right? So the weather anomalies are amping up with the sun. So radiation is what's kicking them out. Vano, can you come off mute? If not, I'm gonna have to.
Binary fission and fusion and nuclear fission and fusion is occurring right now with the prokaryotic species.
All right, go ahead, Mama Cosmos.
So yeah, I have a question. So in regards to YT people's genetic makeup, why is it that they need to eat meat? What is it within their DNA that is just like that's what they need in their system?
Animals.
Epigenetically speaking, white people grew up in, they had environments to where there was scarcity. That's why they hoard wealth. That's why they typically hoard things, because scarcity will
Yeah.
have you eating.
Hold on. She was speaking. Let her finish her thought, and we're gonna get to you after her question is answered. Go ahead.
So epigenetically speaking, the reason why they eat meat is because they you basically were they were eating what they had access to. And when people talk about like the Caucasus Mountains being cold and the is it wasn't vegetation around, they quite frankly had to eat meat because that was what they had access to. Because human beings, we we are we are, what is it, omnivores? Yes, we are omnivores, meaning we eat whatever
No.
we.
Oh, hold on.
Wait, hold
Hold
on,
on.
sister. I'm my bad. That's false. I can't do misinformation because then I'll get flagged too. And then
Mhm.
I post these on YouTube, so I can't do misinformation either.
And
So
so-called black people, we're not human beings. Human beings are associated with animal DNA. You know what I'm saying? People who have animal DNA, and we don't have animal DNA. The real reason why they can eat meat is because they share genetics with the same meat that they're
yeah,
eating. And
Yeah, they're the
if you look at
human.
the osmolality level, which is how hot the stomach acid gets, the gastric acid, you know what I'm saying, gets, they
Mm.
have a low pH balance and it's made to break down meat. You see what I'm
right.
saying? They have the enzymes inside of their stomach, digestive enzymes, to break down the meat because they're composed of the meat. We have our bodies are made to condense the sun because we are the sun. This is why that term "you are what you eat." So it's that simple. It's not because it was hard for them and nothing like that.
No.
It's they were eating their children.
Yeah, they were eating each other.
They perform cannibalism because they they don't have a natural place in this environment. You see what I'm saying? So a new organism trying to find a place in this environment, they can't eat. They don't know what to eat. And all of the organisms that they're spliced with have different appetites. They're spliced with chimpanzee. Chimpanzees have a different appetite than the pig that they're spliced with. It has a different appetite than the fruit fly. So they have to constantly feed all of those animals
Though,
based off the protein that is being coded by the DNA, asking for that.
right. So it's
So
not because and they try to say that with evolution and stuff like that. It's not because of scarcity at all. It's not because of that at all. It's
yeah,
because of their genomics. That's what we're saying. Like we struggle with disease more than them because we're eating against our genetics. We're eating the meat.
yes,
So they're supposed to eat meat because they're composed of animals that eat meat. We're not an animal. We don't have any animal DNA, and that's what makes something human is the fact that they have animal DNA. Nothing in our embryological origin stems from an animal. And that's the reason why there's a difference in our hair. Our hair is hair or ether, and scientists call them what is it? Sensory antennas?
yeah. They call it Merkel disc.
Yeah, the Merkel disc in the integumentary system, but they refer to like our locks, like our hair as
Sensory receptors.
sensory receptors. That's what
Yeah.
they're called, right? And with them, because of the difference in the structure, 2 versus 3, with them being a multicellular or a complex cell organism, they actually have fur because that structure is complex with different animals that make it that's made up with those animal proteins. So this is why lice why lice can thrive in that environment. Why lice find it safe and cool enough to procreate and reproduce in their hair because of their microbiome, the different proteins, enzymes that they're producing and giving off. And that's why we often talk about the smell, why they smell like that whenever they get wet, because it's those proteins that they're composed of. So when we get wet, we smell like radiation because that's what we're composed of.
And that's why we say to know thyself is to know neuromelanin, because neuromelanin doesn't produce animal proteins or animal enzymes. It only produces solar proteins and enzymes. You see what I'm saying? To break down the sun, to break down solar particles or bioelectric foods that is composed of the sun and the water and from the earth. That's the only thing we should be eating. We should not be consuming animal proteins.
Period.
That's gonna slow down our neuromelanin conductivity in the brain and in the body, and it's gonna clog our arteries and meridians. And this is actually gonna deteriorate us from within. You see what I'm saying? So we should not be consuming that.
Yeah, meat literally pulls the nutrients out of your bones.
Yep.
So does AC, air conditioners and stuff like that. That's why we don't use ours. You see what I'm saying? We use fans, and we, like I said, we can be outside for 5+ hours a day. We'll sweat, but we won't be uncomfortable because our body is not inflamed. See, the sun, you feel uncomfortable because the sun, the rays that it emits, it detoxifies. So quite literally, it's trying to get those parasites and those antigens out, which is what causes sweating. Your body is heating up because it's inflamed.
Yeah.
It's causing that reaction to get that stuff out. So that's why that's happening. But
we shouldn't be referring ourselves to human beings, because we're gonna operate like the human beings. How they tell you human beings are omnivores, but you're not a human being. So we really got to understand that the type of melanin that you have is explaining the type of your DNA, the base of who you are that constructs your whole organism. So to understand who you are is to understand your neuromelanin.
Yeah.
So that's what I would advise for you, Mother of Life.
Yeah, even if you want to use your AC, turn the fan function on, or use fans, or open the windows, or be outside. You see what I'm saying? But air conditioning, I just wanted to say one more thing. Air conditioning is sub-zero technology. So that's the same thing as when you look into the Wilderness Project and actually unpack Antarctica, and something as simple as ice in a cup, that's technology. So, but I just, yeah, so does that answer your question, Mama Cosmos?
Yeah, y'all gave me a lot to think about just within this little 5 minutes.
Right.
Okay.
I'm over here
Red
studying.
sunscreen. Do
All
not
right.
wear
And
sunscreen.
go ahead, Vano, and then we'll get to divisions.
Abundance, y'all.
Yeah, abundance. Gratitude, y'all. Vano, can you come off mute?
Yeah, I know Vano wanted to say something. Go ahead. Vano.
All right, you're gonna have to
open that spot up for the next guest that wants to come up, because he's not replying.
I sent a request, and you can try to accept that one.
All right.
All right, go ahead. Divisions. Go ahead.
Okay, what's up, fam? But yeah, when it comes to the sun, y'all gotta understand, when the sun is very hot towards you, all that is just saying that, oh, we didn't meet in a long time. Now we're trying to build a relationship. What have you been putting in your body that is foreign to your body? You know what I'm saying? Your body is meant to absorb the sun. But if you have unnatural things that the sun doesn't recognize, what you think the sun is going to react like? It's going to try to pull those nutrients out of you. And we have to understand, sweating, right, is a natural process. Sweating is a detoxification. Yep. And also, when y'all say it's hot,
you have to understand, the more and more you put your body under the sunlight, your body naturally, if you're a melanated being, your body will naturally adjust to the sun's temperature. And then your body will radiate with the sun because you are the reflection. So, also, when you're absorbing the sun, you want to make sure you have on the right type of moisturizers on your body. You don't, if you can't eat it or it's not edible, it shouldn't be on your body. If you have on sunscreen, that is cancerous. Uh, if you have it on things that's not eat, able to absorb your melanin and help your skin absorb natural sunlight and be a natural process for absorption, it will be very difficult. Also, what are you putting in your body? If you eat cheeseburgers and fried chicken 3 or 4 times a week, and then you to go try to be in the sun, what you think is gonna feel like? It's gonna feel like you getting cooked. But if you was to put more greens and alkaline, eating watermelon, you eating fruit, things that come from the soil that is already sun cooked, right? That has already been through a photosynthesis process that came from the sunlight. So now when you're eating hydrating foods that is hydrated from the sun, because the sun is also hydrating as well, you know what I'm saying? Now it will be a easy absorption for your skin, because we have to understand, when you absorb the sun, right, you are absorbing through your mental capacity, your physical capacity, and your spiritual capacity. All three levels of the absorption. And if you have a foreign entity or foreign food inside of you, it's going to be very difficult, so I advise people to observe, and if you try to go get into the sun and you haven't been into the sun in like 2 weeks, start off with 10 minutes. Then 2 days later, start off with 30 minutes. But then you'll notice, as time and your melanin is getting back recharged and you're getting back your relationship with the sun. But speaking on these other people, right? Um, y'all have to understand, right? We are not different races with these people. These are different species, right? We know these people only been 10K. We be trying to sugarcoat it and be like, oh, we are the human race. No, bro. Because if we was all the human race, it wouldn't be all this different terror on the planet. These people, this is in their nature. This is in their DNA. They can't help it, right? And not saying every person of them is bad, but this is just a natural process. Why, when you getting under the sunlight, you're getting cooked? You know what I'm saying? And they literally try to be in the sunlight more than us. You know what I'm saying? They try to go to beaches, naked beaches or whatever, and try to be in the sun, but it's not working. So this is why I say it's important who you're intermingling with. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what it is. They know that their time is coming. So guess what? You're going to see more and more interracial promotion being promoted, because guess what? You have the key within your DNA. And that's all I want to say. Appreciate y'all letting me talk, though. Appreciate y'all.
Abundance, brother. Thank you for sharing your frequency, because you're right. You know what I'm saying? Um, the sun is actually trying to heal us as so-called black people. Like, it's trying to remove the antigens and the parasites that we've been accepting through the food and the raping and the abuse that these people have placed upon us. So that's all this is trying to do. So that's all we tell our people, is like, we really got to understand the interactions of our bodies and the sun and the universe and everything that's comes through biogenesis.
Bro, it's so many benefits, bro. I can't even name on the top of my head. Like, literally, melatonin production, serotonin production, melatonin, and it gets you back on your natural, what is called circadian rhythm, right? Your
Yeah.
biological clock. So if you have problem with going to sleep at night, if you was to get the natural proper amount of sunlight, vitamin D, absorption, it's going to produce melatonin within your body. So when it's time to go to bed at nighttime, you're going to naturally get sleepy. And also your serotonin levels, your mood. Your serotonin is your mood factors. You're laughing, you're joyful, right? But if you as a person you barely get, you're gonna be depressed. You're gonna be depressed. So they try to teach us and say, "Oh, the sun is. You need sunblock. Stay away from the sun." What y'all think? What you think they doing, man? I ain't. Y'all know what it is. What they put in the sky. Y'all already know, host. But I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Love.
Can I ask a question?
Thank you for that, brother. Abundance for that. Go ahead, mother of life.
What do y'all think? Like, what is y'all perception about what people are saying about Memphis, Tennessee being Egypt?
I didn't
Uh,
hear what you said. What can you repeat that?
yeah.
A lot of people think Memphis, Tennessee is Egypt. What do y'all think about that?
The whole, so first of all, the whole plane is tropical.
Yeah.
The whole plane is that. Like, pyramids are everywhere. They're in Texas. They're everywhere on the planet. They're everywhere in the cosmos as well, not even just on Earth. If that's why we got to study the other planets as well. So the titles and the names and stuff don't matter when you understand the planet itself and how it was originally and how it fell in frequency, like what they did. Like, if you actually study, Jurassic, Triassic, Cretaceous, Carboniferous, like, you see how the planet actually evolved and the life that was here, the gases that were here, the decrease in the gases, the different how the Earth's rotation was actually knocked off, right? You can look into chronobiology and see the different patterns and rhythms in life and how it's changed. Like, it's an all-encompassing amount of research that goes into it that would tell you that the whole planet is that. It's not just one specific region. So, of course, so-called Memphis is so-called Egypt, but the whole plane is just itself because it's a plane, right? It's a planet, but it's
Yeah, there's no Garden of Eden or a motherland. We're on Mother Earth. You see what I'm saying? And the whole planet is supposed to share the same environment. It's supposed to be look like the same environment. Like she said, all of it is supposed to be tropical. But when the axis is bumped off 40.4 degrees and the plates are moved through sound frequency and messed through sound frequencies, and the polarities of the magnetic poles were shifted, then now you start to see that some places have deserts, some places have these different environments that is not supposed to be here. But when you study the planet before any of these things happen, you realize that the planet actually all looked the same. You know what I'm saying? It was all tropical, it all had the same type of environment, and that's how planets look. That's why it's called a planet, because all the plants is the same and it makes up the planet. You see what I'm saying? Just like all of the when they talk to you about other planets, these other planets have the same environment throughout the entire planet. There's no one part of the planet that's different. So is this part of the planet where you see this different? That's not. It's not supposed to be like that. So
That's interesting.
we gotta really study about the planet and the fact that all the land masses are actually still together, and they're lying to you about the land masses. When they tell you, and like the pilots, when they tell you that it takes 20 hours to go to a different landmass, they're lying to you and they're going in circles.
Oh,
They're going in circles. You see what I'm saying? That's why they make you turn off your phone.
yeah, that's why. And
So
the pilots tell you that. That's not
mhm.
even a secret. Like, they'll tell you that they have to fly in a certain amount of circles before they land.
Yep,
Like, that's how they train them.
yep.
So,
So
but
this is all
that's
one landmass.
that's
facts.
crazy.
So there isn't, yeah. We're gonna, yeah. This is.
That's a lot,
I just
man.
wanted to end with this. Like, this is all one landmass. So we shouldn't be focusing. Oh, where's this place? Or where's this magical place? The whole planet
Planet is
is
that,
magical.
and it's being pimped for its resources. So that's how we know that. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Not just one part of your body is magical, right? Not just your heart is magical, but your entire body is magical especially when it's working together. So thank you for that question, Mother of Life, and we're gonna move
Go
on to the next guest.
go ahead, creative.
Hey, you guys, how y'all doing?
Abundance, welcome in.
So I really like this topic, but I honestly really came up because I had really wanted to touch on what the young man said before he left when it came to interracial relationships. I see that they are pushing interracial relationships extremely hard on Facebook, and not just Facebook, Instagram as well, like really, really bad. But I wanted to say to the black women on here, because I've seen on TikTok, there's a lot of black women, pushing the whole ideology of dating other, groups of people and, white men and stuff like that. I just want y'all to know, I want, us women to know that please don't do that. Please do not go after the white guys, okay? Listen to me when I say this. I just left one of 12 years, okay? And he hated my guts because when he was learning about who I am as a black woman and all that, our legacy is, and just overall who I am and what we experienced, and he was having an identity crisis, okay? And he could not stand to he couldn't stand that I had something that he didn't have. Okay. And he was in denial about it for years. And I had only realized it after the relationship was over. Okay. So please do not go chasing after white men. Okay. Because I see the narrative that they're pushing on here. And I promise you, it's nothing that you want to mess with. Okay. They are not in the right state of mind. Okay. They are all of the white men. It don't matter. They are having an identity crisis. Okay. And they will always forever hate you for having something that you can't even control you have. Okay?
I just want to add on with you, sister, that it's not even just white people, it's everybody outside of our species. It's
Yes,
not
that's
even
the
just
truth.
because of the identity crisis. That identity crisis will become more erratic. That's just the starting point because of their
Yes.
genetics.
Yep. And it's the truth.
So the thing is when you mix fluids with them, when you procreate with them, not even just if a child comes out of that, right? Every time you lay down with them, you are invoking hemolytic disease and red blood cell hemolysis. So it's more than just, oh, they'll treat us different, or oh, they'll hate our guts. No, we got to understand the neurological wiring and behind why they're like that, right? Because there's an explanation and a reason for everything. So it's, you got to understand, like, it's not just the white man, because the first person to so-called enslave us was the Asian. Then the
Oh,
next in
yes.
line was the Dravidian, and then right after that, last in line, last in the genus is the so-called Caucasian. Right? He's called Caucasian because the Asian predates him. So we have to start understanding. We got to lock in on that. If we see that these people are becoming erratic, why is that? They've always been that. So why are they like that? But we're docile. Excuse me. We're passionate beings. We're compassionate people. So even when we say phenotype, phenotype is not just the way that you look. It's everything that is physical that can be seen, which includes behavior. All
Yep.
right. So when you see the way that they act, that is phenotype because it can be assessed through the retina, right? In your eyes, you can perceive it, you can see it. It is very true, right? That is a part of who they are. So that's the missing piece that I wanted to ask abundant to that, sister. I'm glad that you said that. We need to stop procreating outside of our species. That goes for the men
We
as
need to
well.
stop. Yes,
Stop
and
doing it. Stop
absolutely, we
breathing in
need to
their.
stop being on these platforms and pushing the narrative of dating outside of our race because it's only going to hurt our community.
Right, literally on a cellular level. So even if you don't see it or feel it, you're depleting your cells and thinning out your blood. Kissing, breathing next to them, laying next to them, and definitely procreating. Definitely exchanging energy is the last fucking thing you want to do. You are
Yes.
exchanging energy with an animal, an incomplete dominant animal. All right, abundance for that. I see that Alicia D, and then we'll get back. We'll go in order. Go ahead, Alicia. Alicia D. You're on mute. All right, looks like she has some time before she comes off mute. So welcome in, y'all. Abundance, gratitude. This conversation is about speciation. This is about how the sun, UV radiation, is removing everything that is eukaryotic. So this is not just exclusive to so-called white people or so-called Mexicans or so-called Dravidians or so-called Asians. This goes for the animals that they're spliced with too, the plants, the insects, the microorganisms. You see what I'm saying? So this is, I want to drive it home. This is not just against white people.
Can
So
I ask you a question? How come, I did see someone say this, but I wanted to know, how come Africans act like them too?
what do you mean?
What do you mean by that?
Like, how come Africans have that same kind of behavior like white people? Like, they they kind of behave in the same way.
Explain it.
The Africans, the so-called Africans I know live with the land. They work together. They build sustainable homes. They're communal, and they don't have jealousy like we do here in America at
Where
all.
I live at,
So
it's a
the
small.
colonists, go ahead.
Yeah, where I live at, it's a small town, so we get a lot of migrations of Africans here because they come here to work in the you know the factories that we have here. So we get a lot of Africans here. Um,
Right, yeah, those are
We
your
have
brothers. And
sellout
okay,
people.
Hold on, D Vision.
one second, because they're not sellouts. So I don't even know
no,
why
I'm not.
you.
No, no, no,
One
no.
That's not what
I'm
I
second,
mean.
saying,
y'all.
no.
One
Please let me
second,
be clear. I'm not saying that they're sellout. I'm only.
No, 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 no.
I'm not. Just 1 second, y'all, because I'm interjecting here because it's these same people that keep coming to my live. Not the sister. You're trying to spew that narrative, brother. And I'm quite literally, I need y'all to explain it to me genetically. It's going on a year and a half. So if we think these people are different from us, we need science, okay? So to answer the sister's question, because I don't know, when I look at my brothers and sisters, we are all a byproduct of colonization. All right. So just like they're acting over there, our people here in America are acting the same way. Our people in so-called UK are acting the same way. Anybody that is subscribing to their system will act like them because you are what you consume. It's not you are what you eat. So that's why. You see what I'm saying? So
I think that
I
you
just
answered
wanted to
that
explain
perfect.
that, but
Thank
I
you.
just, yeah. So it is, you got to understand, a lot of people say they living in mud huts. You're living in a box that is hurting your auric field. They're living with the land. They're
Right,
submerged in earth. So we got to shift our perspective on what is really real. You know what I'm saying? We're saying that, oh, they're eating monkeys, but you're eating a cow. You
right.
see what I'm
And
saying?
what makes you
So
different?
it's
Yeah,
not a, so we're doing the same thing as what you're trying to, and I'm not saying you directly, I'm talking about the narrative, right? You're saying African, but that's a title. You're called the African American, right? All they did was put American behind that, or you would be them.
And you also said why do they act like them? And
no,
what
I
is act?
asked what
Hold
their
on for a second.
behavior was,
You
like their
said hold
behaviors and
on, sister. Let me finish speaking because you said why do they behave like them? So basically acting like them. So that's the same thing. Let's not cut each other off to do that. So
Oh
you
no,
said
I'm sorry. I didn't mean
okay.
to cut you off. I think there's a little bit of a lag on my end. Sorry.
Back to what I was saying though. You said why do they behave like them? But you were explaining your this activity in a job. So is a job behaving like a cosmic being, or is having a job behaving like a eukaryotic cell organism? You see what I'm saying? So when you say behaving like them, but we're going to their medical doctors to so we can get medically evaluated by them. We're saying, oh, why the Africans behaving like them, but we're sending 25 million of our children to the animal school so they can learn how to be more like the animals. So what do you mean behaving like them, but we're sending them to school so they can behave like them? So we got to realize that we're indoctrinated and we're under attack throughout the entire planet. That's why Australia doesn't have the so-called black people that were there. That's why Brazil doesn't have the amount of so-called black people that was there. It was only black people there. So we got to start understanding genetics because that question was
I read the intention, and it wasn't genuine. You see
Who,
what I'm
you
saying?
talking to
And
me?
you said you hold on. You said why do Africans behave like them? But
Yeah,
you
but there.
said okay, man.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I didn't mean any harm behind it. I just was asking her her opinion about their behavior. But when I say their behavior, I'm not saying that they act a certain way. I'm saying that based upon what I noticed as far as how white people treat black people. And I'm asking, why do they tend to act in that same way? Like the way that they, they have these ideologies about the way that they think about us. But then when she had said what she said and broke it down, it made sense to me. So
Yeah.
please don't take it personal. I'm not trying to come at anybody in an ugly way. I'm just curious.
Yeah, where it's all because of colonization. They made
Right.
it's because they want you to look at your reflection as something that's not you. Because
Yeah.
they don't want you to view you as your own currency.
Right.
Yeah, that's what
And
it's
also as a grown person, as a grown adult, we gotta find the answers on our own. And we can't keep subscribing to titles when the genetics is right in front of us. If you see that's your brother or sister on a different landmass, don't subscribe to that title and then have these thoughts. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't genuine because somebody who's really curious, they will want to find out that answer or why they call it African and I'm called African American. It's
Yeah,
to
but
divide. It's to divide.
I'm
Hold
not
on,
talking
mother.
about
Like, hold
the
on. I'm
title
not
though.
done. Hold on. It's to divide us, and that's what this test is about. Can you divide water from water? Can you divide the sun, the stars from other stars? That's what this was about. You
Uh,
see what I'm saying?
Let me ask you a
There's
question. Do you
stars.
think
There's
I'm talking about the title because I asked
man.
that question?
it's good.
It's good. All right. Thank you for your so-called energy for the that frequency you dispersed. But I try to speak to you, but you keep cutting me off. So we gonna have to move on.
Um, my bad. Alicia, can you come off?
Shit, weird, bro.
Alicia, can you come off mute now? All right, you have to request back up. Go ahead, Divisions.
Yeah, y'all didn't say it. Y'all couldn't have said it no better. Um, you have colonized people inside our country. We have our colonized people in different countries. You know what I'm saying? Of our people, that's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just the mindset is just through colonization. You know what I'm saying? Everywhere. So we can't just be like because you can't just be like one person act this way. You got to understand everybody had their system of colonization in a way. Um, oh, the main point of why I came up here when it comes to the sun on some real like the people that's really tapped in. You know what I'm saying? If you ever getting tired of them clouds, you know what I'm saying, and you want to clear it up, remember we are ether. We are the weather. So I say always say meditate. If you meditate, sometimes go sit in the chair. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people probably do it. But sit in the chair, meditate, put your feet in that grass, and watch all that stuff clear up in a couple hours. You know what I'm saying? I'm especially the women. I'm just letting y'all know. Whenever y'all want the sun to come back out, y'all got the power. Y'all remember Storm in Marvel? Not Storm. Is that her name in the X Men?
That's her name, yes.
What's her name in X Men?
It's Storm.
It's Storm. Yeah, we do that. So I just wanted to
Hmm.
say that.
That's why they
But
not.
we gotta be, man. Listen, bro. These people, bro. These people is different species. See, I like being in these spaces. You know what I'm saying? I like listening to the science that they break it down because it's a real science behind this. Y'all be thinking, well, oh, why they hate us? Cause our skinny. And my thing is, I don't like when we just try to fight for acceptance, bro. Why are we trying to fight for acceptance to try to be equal to a person that's not even equal to you, not even on no superior or inferiority ego. This is just science. You know what I'm saying? You was born this way. You know what I'm saying? You was born with the melanated child, you know what I'm saying? grow in what from from 0 to 4, they learn at a faster capacity rate because of the neuromelanin. It's not out of no egotistical thing. This is just a fact. You know what I'm saying? So you have a gift that is lying within you, within your DNA, within your code, because you have a different connection that they can't get to. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? This is inherently genetically passed down through your DNA because guess what? You haven't been here for about 10,000 years. You've been here. You were the first. You know what I'm saying? The melanated woman, you know what I'm saying? She's the first. And when she's conscious of her power, that's when everything shifts. You know what I'm saying? So when we understand this, right? You have to, when you have consciousness and awareness of this information, you have to know better to do better. But if you don't know better, you're gonna just be out here like a sitting duck. You know what I'm saying? And they're gonna control the narrative of how they want you to move. They're gonna try to make you feel that you are equivalent to them. They're gonna tell you to put sunscreen on. They're gonna tell you don't look at the sun. It's gonna hurt your eyes. No, it's gonna hurt their eyes. Yeah. When you look at the sun, you know what I'm saying? When you absorb the sun through your eyelids, right? It's actually was clear your vision. For those of you that wear glasses, obviously you want to train your eyes. You don't want to go out there trying to look out there for 30 minutes, but you want to train your eyes. This all goes to your kidneys, you know what I'm saying? It decalcifies your pineal gland, you know what I'm saying? It clears all that goo within your brain, within your body, and detoxify you. And then guess what? That's when you're gonna start getting light codes, right? So now we're going on a whole different level. You know what I'm saying? It gets that deep. I'm not trying to go too deep, but this is how you receive information from the Most High, the Creator, and the person that you're meant to be. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that deep of a connection to the sun like you, or just the environment. You know what I'm saying? So when you're absorbing that sunlight and you're getting in tune with nature because you come from nature, right? That's when you start to get the information that you need to continue on your journey. And I want to commend the host and the co-host for doing this, bro, because y'all doing something that's real right now. And this is the main topic that they don't want to speak about. This is the main topic. You know what I'm saying? So I give y'all flowers, but make sure y'all go, man, take your socks and shoes off. You know what I'm saying? When you go outside, go breathe. You know what I'm saying? Go actually take deep breaths. You know what I'm saying? Connect with that soil because guess what? You're gonna release all that stress. You're gonna release all those neurons. All of that stuff is gonna absorb through your body. And when you're gonna hear nature and you're gonna get in tune with the sun, because guess what? We talking about the Son of God, you know what I'm saying? We talking about the Son of God. It's there for you every day. You know what I'm saying? It wakes you up every day. Without the sunlight, guess what? There would not be no life on this planet. So we need to appreciate the sunlight. You know what I'm saying? Because it wakes you up and gives you energy every day. And appreciate it. But I won't give y'all your flowers. I'm gone. That's all I have to say. I'm
Brother, I had a
done.
question for you before you leave.
Oh, what's up?
Did you ever go live?
Me? Oh no. I don't even know how to go live. I don't even know how to go live. But I'm going to join. Bro. I'm going to join and listen. I'm going to
You
listen to
know,
that.
the regular home screen, like you supposed to act like you making a video, and then right before you record your video, it's gonna show you the option to go live. And you have to go live at least 7 times
They changed
before
the
you're able to do panels.
Yeah, they changed the requirements. I'm asking because the brother, like I respect the brother. He comes in here a lot, and we always kick knowledge. But it's like when you asked us, like for us to go live because of a topic you wanted to talk about, we want to hear your frequency too. Like I
I
know we
remember
like
that.
admin,
Yeah.
but we want to like hear our people talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And be able to articulate it to each other. So I encourage you, get to that point. You know what I'm saying? Get to the point to where you start sharing that light with other people instead of requesting, because this is my, you know, so-called followers, but you got there's other people out there that you're meant to connect with, that you have your piece to the puzzle is for. So I want all of my brothers and sisters in here, make sure we're reading, make sure we're gaining consciousness, make sure we're not usurping what other people are saying. Do not believe everything that we're saying in here. Go study it so that way that you know. Move based off of knowing, not believing, because lie is in the word believing, right? So we have I just wanted to put that out there, y'all. Research, 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 research. No Google. Please pick up a book, because reading is a form of meditation as well. So part of the reason why we're not seeing this restricted reality is because it's hard for us to sit down with ourselves. We're not reading. We rather read on the phone when we know the phone is not good for us, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there. And let's see, did anybody want to request up? The sun is removing the virus, so it's removing everything that's eukaryotic, from the plants, the animals, the insects, all the way up to the so-called people, from micro to macrocosm.
And you may tell you the crazy thing, sis. You may tell you the crazy thing. The reason why I feel like when it comes to this technology, right? Our melanin, this I feel like, right? Sometimes too, we can control the algorithm when it comes to the different information. Obviously, you want to make sure you read, but also, especially when your melanin and you're high vibrational, like right, your melanin is high vibrational. Your melanin is like a magnet when it comes to this technology. So that's why I was like, it got to be, it got to be a balance with when
Which
it's
melanin? Like, what do you mean?
oh, like this, I say neuromelanin, you melanin. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
What you mean?
because them is two different types for two different organisms. So what do you mean?
I feel like in some way, our melanin is like in a way attached to the technology within the from the resource of what this phone is made of, what this technology is made of.
You're saying that the phone is made of neuromelanin?
Yeah. Basically, yeah. Yeah.
So how do you extract neuromelanin?
Uh I'm saying what I'm trying to say is they have some type of I feel like they have some type of melanin that is within the technology that makes our melanin attract to it. You know what I'm saying? That attracts to the resource that the technology is made
That's
of.
what AI is. That's what
Right.
AI is.
So
They
that's why I said we, it just have to be
The reason why we're attached to the phones and all of that is because of the crystals and the magnite crystals and the clusters that's in the phones.
yup,
So,
yup.
but the
But
thing
that's not
is, but
melanin.
you just try to say it was melanin. So hold on, and
I
hold
couldn't
on,
express it. I
man.
couldn't express it. Yeah.
Hold on for a second. And you just tried to say a second ago that neuromelanin, EU melanin, you try to act like they were the same thing. Those are two different melanin classifications. You see what I'm saying? And we, as so-called black people, do not have EU melanin. EU melanin is still animal melanin. We don't have that. We don't produce EU melanin proteins or enzymes. This is why when we talk about melanin, we have to be very careful,
Yeah.
because the scientists that we're talking about, they're the ones who's just saying, oh, one melanin and then one spectrum light and dark. That's false.
Mm-hmm.
We gotta get right on the specific type of melanin, because your melanin equates to the DNA that you have, and we
Facts.
have neuromelanin. We have to study that. That's what it means to study thyself. When we just say melanin, you just telling our people to go look at melanin and go look at a random thing about melanin. No,
And
we are
that's
neuromelanated people, and we gotta stand on who he is. We
And
gotta be real.
we just saying that because we know specifically, brother, we done ran it down with you at least a year and a half now. At least a year. I ain't gonna stress it with the half. So I'm just saying we gotta get to the point, and I just wanna be serious about it, y'all, where we really start reading and knowing it for ourselves so we can pass it to the youth. Because right now the youth don't know who they are, but they're being snatched for our ignorance. They know, but we don't know. So because we don't know, they getting snatched. So we ask, but we don't know. So because we don't know, they getting snatched. So we asked the brother, what's your role as a divine masculine? Is to enforce universal law and to protect the species. He couldn't even tell us that. That's
Right.
why I say we have the species. He couldn't even tell us that. That's
Right.
why I say we have to know it. Because if we
Right.
don't know what we're here to do, we're keeping each other here. You know what I'm saying? So
What do
as
you
much
think
as we
women
are,
are here for?
women are we're the mother of life. We birth the species. We're nurturers. We're the divine feminine, the highest extension of nature, right? So we're the matriarchal society it was created and crafted by us because this planet is feminine. It gives life. So that's what we're here. The masculine is here to enforce the femininity.
And y'all here to teach the species. Y'all are the first teachers. You see what I'm saying? All of the information comes from our mother. So y'all should be knowing about the cosmos and how it runs, so you can pass it down to the child, especially in the imprint years. So
Yeah.
that is your job: is nurturing, healing, and teaching. That is your job, and
I have
you
a
are the mother
question.
of life. You produce life. You're creative. You're the first alchemist. So your job here is that, and what y'all do to for the betterment of the species. Us as men, we're supposed to be putting that energy into order and enforce that and protect that so it can run smooth and efficient.
Mm-hmm.
That's our
I
jobs.
wholeheartedly agree.
That's our roles, and that is all of that. Those answers can be found through science. How our cells move, how our atoms move, how the protons and electrons and the solitons move.
Mhm.
That's how we will know what.
Is animal is animal DNA? That's what you said. You melanin? I thought
Yes,
It's
it was
animal
female.
melanin.
yes. Eumelanin is found in animals, birds,
Okay.
bats, like the animals with really dark
Yeah,
pigmentation and
koala
brown
bears,
pigmentation.
wombats. Yeah.
They have eumelanin. It comes from animals, and eumelanin changes into pheomelanin depending on the change of the sulfur chemical compound. Depending on how that changes, it goes from eumelanin to pheomelanin.
Yeah.
That's the spectrum.
That's what makes them the same species, but in complete dominant amongst each other.
Yes, neuromelanin has nothing to do with any other melanin. It doesn't change into that.
Right.
You see what I'm
It's
saying? So we got to
just
be real with the melanin that we have. Bro.
Sure.
You feel
I
me?
love you.
go ahead, Tay. Look, go ahead. Welcome up. All right. Amira, did you have something else you wanted to add?
I got another question. I would say, what fields would you tell like a younger person to go into that you feel like would be like an asset to, fulfilling your purpose as a woman? Because I've always like, I'm only 22, so when I was younger, like I always wanted to be a makeup artist. And now that I've had my spiritual awakening, I kind of don't know where I want to go career wise.
Okay, the fields that us as so-called black men and women should be getting into is raising a child and creating a family. That's the biggest job, the best job that we should be getting into. We shouldn't be trying to be doctors. We shouldn't be trying to be lawyers or none of that. That does nothing for our children, nothing like that. We have to understand um communities. We have to understand how our cells function and how our body functions. This is why I said it earlier. So our biggest job is raising a child, is raising a community. You see what I'm saying? So that's why we focus on science and biology, because that's what we have to do. So that's my answer to you.
I received it.
That's the only job we should be
Yeah,
focusing
we
on.
shouldn't be. You got to understand the jobs are what keep the system going. Do we understand that? Like, the school is to indoctrinate. So somebody is a cafeteria lady. Unfortunately, even though, she's doing the best, like, she doesn't know who she is and she's working for the system, she's fueling her own demise. She's fueling her own oppression, right? So a bus driver or whatever it is to make this system go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When you're saying you work for General Motors assembly line, we were quite literally teleporting and levitating. So what is a car? Why do we need cars when we know that the cars are polluting the air?
Exactly.
Nothing is actually as far as you think it is. And that's why we were talking about the planes a minute ago. So it just takes critical thinking, like actually looking and at what something is and understanding it on a different level. You can't what something is and understanding it on a different level. You can't be surface level about it.
Mm-hmm.
There is no such thing as a calling or a purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
A calling and purpose is for this system. There's nobody that can purpose is for this system. There's nobody that can be called to actually be an actress. What the fuck is that? You're acting for a system. And quite literally a lot of the roles that we play, why are we playing those roles? Like, that's why we talk about Medea, right? 12 Years a Slave. All of that is programming. So it's fueling your own oppression, right? So we have to understand that. So like he said, we have to get back to community, understanding who we actually are. What is that body? How is it meant to function? What is it supposed to do? Because you're here and it's supposed to function a certain way, but it's not supposed to function in the system that's functioning in a box below your frequency.
Yep. If you want to know what you're supposed to do, you got to study your organs. What are they doing?
Yeah, because they're all working together for that one body.
Exactly.
The organs make up the organism.
Exactly. And all these jobs, the reason why we're even working in the first place is to provide for a family. You see what I'm saying? So that's the main job anyway. You see what I'm saying? The main job is the family. That's why we're even getting these jobs. So we shouldn't even be wanting to find an occupation. We should leave the middleman alone, the nucleus, the money, this eukaryotic organism, and we should focus on ourselves. That beautiful interaction between divine masculine and divine feminine, that's our purpose. That's the divinity right there, the union between that. Because the best thing that we can create is a child. It's not a business. It's not none of this. Has nothing to do with money. Our generational wealth exists in our bodies. It's the light that passes through from generation to generation. That's when children are born, they literally are bioluminescent in light. You know what I'm saying? They glow, but we can't see it because we have the crypto or the blue light over our eyes, and we're not seeing at the light spectrum that we need to. So we don't see the beauty in our children. So we gotta start viewing that. So the best thing I would say for my people to prepare is how can I be a better father? How can I be a better mother? Because the children that you produce, that's not your only child. You see what I'm saying? Every child that is a reflection of you is your child. So you gotta be very focused on what information you're passing on to the next generation, because that's our future. That's what focusing on your future means. That's what caring about the future means.
Right. So we can look here, speaking of children, right? We can look at our children. At 9 hours old, they're able to keep their head from falling backwards. In a YT child, 6 weeks. 9 hours. 9 is very divine number. We can look 2 days old, holding the head, looking at the examiner. YT child, 8 weeks. Right. So this is a well-known study. That's why we talk about neuroscience. We talk about Why Darkness Matters, which is pinned on my page. That's written by 4 Black neuroscientists, so-called Black neuroscientists, right? So it's not just YT people with this information. And I bring up all the time that Imhotep was the first documented multi-genius. So I don't know what white science is. We were the first scientists. And I even heard him explain that, to you, because I had walked away from the phone. But I heard him explain to you that women were the first, we created fire, we discovered fire. We're the first builders, we're the first metallurgists. 75 to 85% of what was collected in a day was collected by women, and that was fed to the society. You see what I'm saying? That was fed to the children. We don't need the man to actually procreate.
Yeah.
Right? We're the highest extension of nature, and this is why Genesis and all religions are talking about a so-called virgin giving birth to a so-called man, right? But what it is parthenogenesis. So when we talk about junk DNA, there's a part of junk DNA within our genetics as women called the Bartholin gland. And once that is stimulated, pulling what's the name? I'm just gonna say pulling a substance from our own bone marrow with the stimulation of the Bartholin gland is what creates the child. You don't need the sperm to do that. But when the sperm does do it, right, it's the tail end of the sperm that fertilizes the egg, and the egg is what, 9-12 times bigger than the sperm cell.
Yep, and the sperm is just made of selenium and zinc, which is in our bones, and that's what she was explaining. And the Bartholin glands actually is what naturally lubricates your private area, so you can actually now produce this child on your own.
Yeah, so that's what.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's what so-called pre-ejaculation is in so-called men. It's the same thing. It's the same fluid that is produced in your Bartholin glands, and that Bartholin gland stimulates your bones to actually pull out the selenium and zinc out of your bones so you can produce your own child. And that's facts, and that's what they've been hiding from y'all.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, they talk about parthenogenesis all the time. It's just not mainstream. They just always try to put, like, it's always going to be a Cantonese or a Nepalese, a Nepalesian woman. It's our women that's doing it. When I locked in on that the other day, when they're talking about parthenogenesis and their women, they're talking about introgression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that, the other day, that I'm gonna have to show that source to you, but they're actually talking about introgression and hybridization quite literally. And I'll have to compile all of those sources. And I'm gonna be doing a video probably tomorrow to get it out. Tomorrow is what? Friday? Venus, fertility, love. Yeah, well, it depends. I might do a video or go live, but I have to get that information out and run a live or something about our anatomy as women and how these other people don't come from us, because we need to stop saying that. You know what I'm saying? So the thing is we have to realize everything starts with us, and the men, they don't, whether they know it or not, they're waiting on the divine feminine.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for us to understand community and coming together as women, right? Because it was us here originally first before it was the man. We're the one that brought him here. So I'm reading The Great Cosmic Mother right now. That's like a 500-page book. I think I'm on page, I'm like on 200 or something like that. That actually starts out, that whole chapter is telling you about your anatomy. The first chapter is about the black, and it literally says the original black mother. You see what I'm saying? And when you study the difference between, there's two authors that's breaking it down. One is talking about the black woman, and one is talking about everybody else. I don't know if anybody else noticed that with that book, when they're talking about the early civilizations or the early people of all of those societies, they're talking about us. Mm-hmm. All right. So I just wanted to break that down.
And in order to move in an energy, I just want to add this last thing. Any energy that you want to move into, you gotta understand what that energy is and then self-apply it. You know what I'm saying? Every energy that you want to move into, you see what I'm saying? You have to understand what it is at its deepest level. I just wanted to add that. Abundance, Mother of Life, for asking that too.
Okay, go ahead, Press Cam. Yeah, abundance. Gratitude.
Abundance.
I just wanted to say thank you for bringing me up.
Hold on. Where you buy that book from? Can I get it on Amazon?
You can get it on, I would suggest you get it on Thrift Books. It's cheaper. Yeah, Thrift Books. Yes. I think it's pinned on my Page, I just damn that's not
Okay.
Instagram, but I deactivated. But
Yep.
I'll see if I can turn the camera on in just a second and show it to you.
I would advise our people to dive into science heavy. That's our story. You see what I'm saying? Physics, biology, neurology, because ology just means the study of.
Right.
Neuro is just your brain. So study of the brain. Bio means life, study of life. You know what I'm saying? Genetics, the study of the origins of life. You see what I'm saying? And how it passed down through traits. So
Go ahead, Press Cam.
Yes, thank you for bringing me up. But I just wanted to say a couple of things. Well, first, I wanted to know who the man is that's speaking with you because I just want to follow him and I just want to get more information. And two, this is my first time listening to this live. I just kind of stumbled on it, and this is probably the most informative live I think I've ever been on. So I really appreciate y'all. Um, and it just kind of it made me really realize a lot of things. You know, just observing my son and seeing his physical abilities, and just it's absolutely amazing, right? When I kind of compare him to a lot of the kids around him, especially when it comes to sports, anything really physical. Um, I mean, I'm astounded every time I see him, and I see how easily he adapts to any sport, how easily he understands things. And I've always told him, I feel like your melanin holds a lot of power, but listening to you guys really affirmed that. So thank you for that.
You gotta
Um,
protect him.
what was that?
I say you gotta protect him.
Yes,
Abundance and
yes.
gratitude. Yes, all of our children are protected. This is their planet. You see what I'm saying? That's why we have to realize that, because if they need to know about their genetics, they need to know not just melanin, that they have neuromelanin and where it comes from, right? What it's composed of. That's what we should be, especially as women, teaching our children. We created this child and don't know nothing about their body. That child is operating his body 100% of the time, and you created it. That's what I was getting ready to say. So it's like, even though the tail end of the sperm sparks that egg, you you already had that ovum as a baby. You came here with all of the ovum that you would ever have in your lifetime. All he does is spark what's there, and you don't need him to do it. That's what makes you the highest extension of nature. And because the X chromosome rules